Good morning, good evening, and good night, everyone, and welcome to our standard show match between Team Blue Pitch and the Card Guys, hosted here on the Card Guys YouTube channel. My name is Shamir Sami, and I'm delighted to be joined here by Adya today, co-casting these games. Adya, how are you doing?
I'm great, especially after pre-release weekend, opening packs, seeing all the lightning cards. It gets the juices flowing, you know. You want to see what the card guys and the blue pitch has been brewing because you see the new set has dropped and everyone is waiting on this show. It's been 4 years all the way back from Everfest, and people are waiting like me just to yoink the list or just serve as an indirect inspiration on, oh, that's a cool interaction that I can put into my deck. So, what do we have here today? What are the heroes are we playing in the show match today, Shamir?
Indeed, with this little sneak peek into the constructed format coming up, we hope to give you a preview of what's changed with the release of Omens of the Third Age. We've all had fun with the limited format so far. It's a fantastic limited format, I might add, between the sealed and draft. But what are the implications for constructed? Well, we've got some new heroes, and naturally that means we've got to showcase some new heroes to start with Andrew Cook piloting the brand new Zyggy Starlight, playing against Wen Law's Fang. So Fang's picked up some goodies in the expansion slot. That's going to be where we start off our evening of games. We'll then have Will Bradshaw on the hero that I perhaps least expected to pick up some support, but oh boy, did she get some in Betsy, with David Lau playing against him on, again, I guess an old face at this point, Oscilio, but not the new one. Classic
Yeah,
Oscilio
it's the
1
old
Constella Intelligence.
Oscilio. It's very interesting to see the old Oscilio making it, since even though he's an old hero, it's going to be a whole new deck because he's got CLV taken out of him, and the the instant that returns attack action cards back into your hand, that's gone. The old Voltaris is gone. The old Volzar is gone. So you need to play with the new Volzar, which doesn't amp exponentially, and all the lightning goodies that are in the set. I'm interested to see what David's cooking with that one. And for the third match, we have the tried and true aggro staple of Aurora, and let's see whether Nathan chooses to play with the hero text or without, because I've seen some lists that makes the hero text completely blank, just playing a bunch of 0 for 4s, versus Nova Chance Ziggy Starlight, the Lightning Illusionist. And for the fourth match, we also have Josh Lau with his favorite, all-time favorite hero, Dorinthea, and I've heard it's not it's axes and not the sword. So it's very interesting to see what Josh has cooked up there. And Shamir, you want to take it up from here?
For sure. So with I'm sure we've noticed with the expansion slot, there's not much support for Dawnblade in this set, but there certainly is a little bit off the side for some Axis decks. Coming up against our brand new Oscilio, whose name eludes me at this time, Scion of the Third Age, if you remember his young hero, who's got a very different ability and a very kind of different play pattern as far as I can tell them, will be piloted by Kaiser Wong. And we'll finish off the day with Damien Riggins piloting that same Oscilio hero, but perhaps to a very different kind of deck list, going up against Pudding Tom, the ninja specialist, playing the Lightning Ninja once again in Aurora. But the question is, will we be another Redline Cheerios deck, or are we going to experiment with playing some blues this time? But before we can get to there, we've got to kick off with our first match of Andrew Cook on Ziggy Starlight against Wen Law on Fang. And to jump straight into our deck list, let's talk about Ziggy, because Ziggy is a hero who, from the outset, has had a little bit of discussion going on about whether people should be even playing their signature weapon of Aphrodisias. Well, Andrew in this case decided to jump in headfirst with the new cards. We are seeing no use of Iris of Reality nor Reality Refractor in this deck. It is Aphrodite all the way down. And there are some really important highlights in this deck list to point out. There are some old illusionist staples, which I think a lot of people have picked up as being great inclusions in a Ziggy deck list, in the form of Miraging Metamorph, a powerhouse 1-for-7 attack action that might let us copy an important aura on the board. Phantasmaclasm, 3 for a 2-card 9 with some disruption. How does it get better than that? But where it gets really interesting is the use of all of these zero-cost attack actions in combination with Lightning Press and Razor Reflex, a card that I have not seen in a constructed deck for a very long time, outside of perhaps Ira. And I'm really excited to see all of this get put together into a go-wide aggressive deck that's still capable of some board state in the form of these corrosive space dusts, stardust spikes, Fleeing Star Breezes, Crackle from Afar. There's going to be some value on the board, but more importantly, some pretty impactful combat attacks hitting the combat chain. Meanwhile,
And
Adia, what's going on with Fang?
sorry, I'd like to bring an attention to an old illusionist card from Everfest that has made the inclusion in the list as in Fractal Replication. It's never seen play before because you need to have an illusionist attack action card on the combat chain, which requires Go again. And that's quite difficult. But with Ziggy having access to the lightning talent, having access to embodiment of lightning aplenty, which means that they can utilize the fractal replication to copy something like Phantasmaclasm for a 3-card 18 while disrupting your hand, and the equipment choice of Snapdragon Scalers makes for a very aggressive, very low to the ground Ziggy deck, which is very interesting to me. And next up we have the Fang, which has been skimping on blues and yellows, I see. The old Fang deck usually runs around 9 blues and 6 yellows, but now with the new card from the expansion slot Draco Fire, which enables you to pay 1 less for your next Draconic attack, which means you don't have to pay for your Fire Vein, and it being a Draconic instant also satisfies the Obsidian Fire Veins condition of playing a Draconic card. This Chain Link enables you to play more reds and less blues and yellows that you don't want, meanwhile enabling plays that on 4-card hands when your hero ability is not yet on, to still have a decent turn without pitching 2 reds just to swing twice. And another card that I'm very interested to see is the Smoldering Steel, which is from Compendium of Wraith, which is a very important 0-cost reaction that has the 3 block. So overall, the game plan is still the same. Be very aggressive, swinging in with your Obsidian Fire Veins, use your attack reactions, more 0-cost attack reactions that block better, and use Grains of Bloodspell to continue piling up the vigor to pay for further cards and swings. So overall, this is going to be a very, very interesting match between Ziggy and Fang. And without further ado, let's head on over to the mat.
Alrighty, we got our players setting up to get started here. Ziggy versus Fang. The question is, Fang's been picking up some upgrades over the last couple of sets between Compendium of Wraith and our newest expansion slot, Draco Fire. But is it enough to overpower our newest Lightning Illusionist, a never-before-seen class and talent combination? Only our match will tell. Our players are getting set up here.
And it's very interesting to see that all these 3 heroes from Omen are of the lightning talent and not elemental, which means they're cut out from a lot of cards that are usually reserved for the previous elemental heroes that have both elemental and their respective lightning, ice, or earth talents.
Most definitely a new direction for these heroes and for the lightning talent in general. We have Andrews kicking us off on Ziggy to start with, it seems, and immediately establishing some of that illusionist board state in a really impactful card, Stardust Spike. Adya, have you played with this card yet? What can you tell me about it?
Oh, sadly, it's not available during your draft experience because it's so powerful and it's only available in the Armory deck. But that card is crazy strong. Having Ward 2, and when it leaves the battlefield, you amp 1 and gain 1 resource, which is exactly what you need to pay into the Aphrodisias. And the Aphrodisias ping will be for 3 instead of for 2. So now we have Fang doing the good old pitch a red to swing for 1. Let's see how Zyggy deals with this attack.
Indeed, the question for Fang is almost always about how quickly can you get this setup, this engine of having 3 fealties on the board active at the same time in order to make these weapon swings come in for free. And currently, we're not there just yet. So we are going to be pitching away one of those many, many reds in the deck list to fund these daggers. But in this case, I think Wen is hoping that we can reach the point where these daggers are swinging for free very soon. Immediately following in with that new reaction from Compendium, which we haven't seen come out to play for a little while, Smoldering Steel, which is very efficiently giving us +1, +2 total because of the Obsidian Fire Vein Zone ability, and pinging in for 1 additional damage. A nice efficient 0 for 4 coming in over the top, followed by another classic 0 for 4 from Uprising, Blaze Headlong. We are just going wide and aggressive as expected. But speaking of wide and aggressive, I feel like we need to draw some attention on the equipment side to those Snapdragon Scalers on Ziggy's feet. That's not something that we have seen an illusionist really play before, and in this case, it's maybe another indication that these heroes are both seeking to go wide and play aggressively into this game.
Yes, typically illusionist versus aggro is one of them is the beatdown, one of them wants to defend, protect their board state. We see that Andrew is very happy just to let the Ward 2 go and keep all 5 cards to swing back in with the very aggressive and overrate cards in Fragment. And we see the very interesting new instant, which gives you 3 resources, which means you can quote unquote pitch from your arsenal. And that pays for an emerging metamorph from hand. So this is just a 1 for 7, 2 floating, 3 cards in hand, no go again yet. We might see him utilize the Snapdragon Scalers immediately, or he might just have some tricks such as Lightning Press or Razor Reflex.
Yeah, nothing suspicious about this at all, but if there's one thing you can bet on, it's that Andrew will not be passing this turn with 3 cards in hand. And we do see those Snapdragon Scalers activated right away to try and give this Miraging Metamorph some go again. Push in for some additional damage. With 6 damage coming in over the top, Phantasm could not be triggered here, as Fang, at least as far as I could tell in Wen's deck, does not have access to any 6 power attacks to trigger
Nope, Fang does
Phantasm.
not run any poppers at this point.
We're immediately following up with that really impactful Everfest Majestic, which, as you said, has not really seen play outside of maybe some Living Legends for a little while. Fractal Replication, in this case, essentially becoming a copy of Miraging Metamorph, a 0 for
A
7
0
with
cost.
Phantasm.
Yeah,
Hugely
0
impactful
for
attack here.
7. That's talking about value right there. When's immediately cashing in the Crown of Providence to wash away the hand, maybe trying to get some resource cards or trying to get more cards that generate fealty. And we see a Lightning Press played over the top, getting it to 10 total power, only defended by 2. Wow, this match is going blazing fast with players going down below 30 life in the very first turn, and Andrew still has an arsenal backed up for the next turn.
Critically, Fang does not have any of those 3 crucial fealties that he wants to get his turn started. So I think Wen is currently a little bit on the back foot here. But with a 5-card hand stocked up into this turn, let's see if he's capable of turning it around. Swinging in with Dagger for 1 to start with. Just an innocent Dagger for 1. But much like Andrew's turn, you can be sure that the turn is not ending there with these 4 cards left in hand, ready to deploy some attack reactions, hopefully mark Andrew and generate some fealty in the process.
And an interesting thing to note, since Andrew is on Aphrodisias, Wen is on AB0, so any activation of the Aphrodisias is akin to true damage that Wen cannot prevent. So that has the game end game locked up there. So the Fang really needs to pump the aggression and get the fealties early to get back into the game after receiving such an aggressive start from Andrew.
Indeed, but Aphrodis does not come for free. Aphrodis will require the generation of some of these lightning flows, or at least a flicker reality one way or another. An aura has to enter the board state with a hollow counter in order for Aphrodis to be activated. And currently, we don't see a way of that happening. Instead, we are seeing a long whisker loyalty coming over the top, and immediately the use of flicker reality coming over the top, triggering our brand new legendary plutonic starplate for a resource up and ready in order to perhaps activate Aphrodis.
Yeah, the new chess piece is very interesting and is probably going to see play in both Ziggy and Oscilio. Since the resource generation just lets you play these one-costed ward auras that can be flickered for a hollow counter much easier without pitching a card. Corrosive Space Dust as well. It pings for 1 whenever it leaves the battlefield, and it has ward 1 naturally, but it becomes ward 4 if it has a hollow counter on it.
So this is a crucial interaction that is worth recognizing with Flicker Reality. In this case, when Flicker Reality leaves the arena due to its ward ability being triggered to prevent damage, it leaves a trigger on the stack to flicker another aura and have it enter with a hollow counter. In this case, Andrew is responding to that trigger by playing out a Corrosive Space Dust with that one resource floating generated by the Plutonic Starplate. And then as soon as the Corrosive Space Dust enters, the Flicker Reality trigger resolves, flickering out Corrosive Space Dust to deal 1 arcane damage and leaving behind, in this case, a ward 3 permanent that threatens to deal that 1 arcane damage yet again. And Aphrodis is once again online at this moment, ready to deal 2 arcane damage at the cost of a resource, should Andrew choose to do so. A really effective way to build that temporary board state that is threatening some damage back at Wen in this situation.
We see Wen swinging back in for the second time with Obsidian Firevein. Still has 3 cards left in the hand. Let's see whether Andrew once is happy with the 3 cards that he has to clap back, or will he commit more on defense? This is an interesting piece of equipment, the Starfield Touch, which is exclusive from the Armory deck, which you can pay 1, destroy Starfield Touch, and untap an Aphrodis you control. So, and it has Battle Worn 1. So Andrew can block with it. You activate the Aphrodis, destroy Starfield Touch, and activate the Aphrodis a second time in a single turn, since Aphrodis is instant pay 1 and tap, and not limited to once per turn. So it can go up to 4 arcane damage in a single turn during the opponent's turn, which makes for a very interesting proposition.
From one side here, we're spiking some important damage and on hits here with a firm loyalty generating our first critical fealty and our searing gaze ensuring that when this dagger hits, which it most certainly will, despite the ward 3 of that Corrosive Space Dust, Ziggy and Andrew end up marked going into the next turn, which is exactly what Fang wants to see if they're capable of drawing their power cards, like a Savor Bloodshed, perhaps. In this case, the Aphrodis is activated, pitching away one of those cosmic flares, ready for a future turn in case we need to generate all 3 resources. But actually, it is just a red card that you can pitch for 1 resource if you'd like to keep the card in your deck. A neat little interaction from this resource card coming new from the set. We follow up with a classic Welcome to Wraith generic Snatch coming in for 4, but with a card left in hand. Often, I wouldn't be too concerned about a Snatch before if my opponent's already going to have an arsenal set up, but what tricks might be up Andrew's sleeve here, Adya?
Yes, with the Illusionist class having access to a lot of instant speed ward auras costing 0, and cards such as Lightning Press, not blocking this Snatch doesn't feel as good, because you can just give them the free card, they play out at instant speed, and they can still set up an arsenal afterwards. But if you're blocking, you're also not developing your fealty generation, which Wen is only at 1 currently. And there we have it. That's the lightning press for an extra +3 damage. And if Wen does not play a defense reaction here, it will be an on-hit draw, refreshing the arsenal for Andrew. And we see 3 damage taken, a card drawn, and Wen wants to keep these 4 cards to generate the next 2 fealties that are much needed for him to get back into the game, with currently the life totals being at 31 to 19.
Indeed, if you've ever played against Briar or the good old classic Aurora from back in the day, you might well have come across a play pattern like that, a snatch that all of a sudden is pumped to 7 without any recourse from your side. And in this case, Wen is feeling the burn of that lightning as we descend to 19 points of life, but still in the process of getting that engine set up and opening up with a fairly powerful opener here, an Oath of Loyalty that can enable the first dagger swing of this turn to ensure that it is the second Draconic Chain Link, which might lead us to our critical third fealty on this turn, getting the engine set up and ready to go.
Yes, the dagger swing being on the second chain link is much more important, since it turns on cards like Affirm Loyalty and Blistering Blade's extra power. So a lot of cards from Fang gets a lot more value the more Draconic Chain Links you play. So if you have a starter such as Oath of Loyalty that you play before your dagger swing, you're able to generate a lot more value that way. We see Andrew being very happy to let the mark go, take 4 damage, and keep the cards in hand for now. Wen currently has 2 fealty. Let's see how he plans to get to 3, hopefully within this turn.
We've seen very little blocking from either of these heroes so far, but Fang at least has the potential to generate a little bit more value from what's on the board. Looking at that Braveforge Bracers and Grains of Bloodspill, there are 2 pieces of Temper 2 armor, or Battle Worn 2 in the case of Braveforge Bracers. In other words, effectively 6 points of armor lying in wait on the board right now. Critical for Fang to maybe try and pull the life totals back around in his favor. We see a Long Whisker Loyalty following up here, undoubtedly threatening to increase the power of this dagger up to 4 and mark on hit, which may lead us towards that critical extra fealty and our all-important Draco Fire coming out to play to ensure that the next dagger swing is going to be coming in for free rather than needing a card pitched for it. An absolutely critical advantage to have here as we look to close the turn out with a second dagger swing, and who knows, maybe even that last card in hand being played as well.
Yes, this is very important that the Draconic instant played here gives the discount for the dagger, since when only had 1 vigor to start the turn with, and usually with 1 vigor you swing once and then you have to pitch another card. But with the new card Draco Fire, he's able to swing the second dagger without paying, getting the +2 value as well, so the dagger has a base attack for 3, which Andrew blocks with a new Majestic, the Flow State Embodiment. But being able to keep that extra card means that Blistering Blade can be played instead of pitch, netting an extra 3 power, which if Andrew does not play a defense reaction here, the mark will be consumed and generate the very crucial third fealty for Wen Law.
And just like that, life totals are equalized. The engine is online for Fang, and the game is afoot. At this point, I think the game could go either way, but it really comes down to how much aggressive output is in Andrew's hand that he's chosen to keep 4 cards rather than try and prevent this fealty from being generated. And of course, it means we're starting with a Phantasmaclasm, but unfortunately pitching 3 reds to do so.
Oh, pitching 3 reds must feel very bad here. Imagine if pitching a blue for this, giving it Gogan and using Fractal Replication, that would be a 3 card 18. But now we only have a 4 card 9. But it still has the advantage of looking at the hand, knowing what trickery Fang has and dipping their best card, which is the +5 attack reaction down to the bottom of the deck, which is online due to the 3 fealty. And
Absolutely.
the
Some
hand
critical
doesn't block
timing for that
very
disruption.
well. Yeah, the hand doesn't block very well, with 2 Tooth of the Dragon being instant non-blocks when chooses to commit the armor, 5 armor in front of the 9 attack to take 4 and keep all their cards in hand to clap back. So maybe Andrew wasn't expecting the second reaction and should have probably blocked more, but the hand just didn't line up very well.
Indeed, it was a tough spot for Andrew to work through, but that hand knowledge and that critical disruption of sending a hunt to the bottom might still be enough to keep Andrew in this game. One of the most powerful things of knowing your opponent's hand in Flesh and Blood, especially against a warrior, is knowing exactly what tricks they have up their sleeve. Very often, people would be incentivized to block the first chain link against Fang here, expecting a reaction that would pump it up to 4. But in this case, Wen would be able to kind of sidestep that with the use of these Tooths of the Dragon, which we know are in hand. But with Andrew knowing that as well, he's pretty incentivized to just say, you know what? No blocks on this
No
dagger.
blocks,
Chances
take
are
2.
it is going to be just 2 with Go Again. And the second one is where the real damage output comes through with that Tooth of the Dragon. Getting +2 here, or +1 rather to 2, so Tooth of the Dragon, and that second dagger is going to be opening up with a swing for 4, undoubtedly going to 5 or higher based on what reactions Wen chooses to play over the top.
And the second dagger comes in for 4 thanks to the Tooth of the Dragon and not having to pay any resources into it, which made that the third fealty is just the game-changing breakpoint that Fang needs to reach. And now that Wen has reached it, life totals flipped around very quickly from a very huge 12 life deficit, 31 to 19. Now Andrew is on the receiving end of a 4-power Obsidian Fire Vein with 3 more cards in hand to back it up at a quite even life total of 17 to 15.
You see that Blistering Blade followed up on the second chain link, conferring +4 to this attack. A particularly brutal, and another Blistering Blade conferring another +3, taking this attack all the way up to 11 with just 2 block in front of it. Andrew's life total is plummeting down to the single digits against a warrior with all of these tricksy attack reactions. It's a dangerous place to be, and he really needs this 3-card hand to close out some big damage.
As long as Andrew can clap back some big damage, the 0 AB that Wen has can be proved to be a detriment as long as the life totals are low enough. The illusionist can win on the opponent's turn, does not have to be on their own turn. And they start off their turn with the Spears of Surreality, which is a 1 for 5 go again with Phantasm, but the Phantasm clause is just meaningless here because there are no poppers in Fang. It's just an overrate attack.
Yeah, it turns out when the downside printed on your attack is basically just flavor text in the matchup, you end up with a very overrate card printed from way back in Monarch. This 1 for 5 go again attack action is threatening a lot of damage, followed up with an all-important unwinding finality. If you haven't had the chance to play with this card yet in the limited format,
Snatch plus.
what a powerhouse. A snatch coming in for 5 to begin with, but with this new keyword of fragment that really incentivizes a card with at least 2 defense to be put in front of it to trigger the fragment ability. But this is where Zyggy shines. There's damned if you do, damned if you don't. In this case, by putting a 3-block card in front, sure, Wen has managed to dodge that snatch threatening the draw of a card. But Andrew now gets the decision of whether he would like to put a lightning instant, including either that lightning press or the Stardust Spike that we saw played out earlier, back on top of his deck in preparation for the next turn. And those kinds of choices, that agency to know what's going to be in your next hand, including power cards like Stardust Spike, can be so critical to turning this game around.
And since it is any instant, Andrew is even allowed to choose the instant that gives him 3 resource, which might enable a good 2-card play with that card plus Phantasmaclasm. because the deck is very, very red heavy, and there are not many blues to support the Phantasmaclasm. The instant is one of the red cards that can actually generate 3 resource for a red card. And we see that the Flicker Reality is the instant chosen. So we know there are Aphrodite shenanigans available during the next turn.
I like this decision a lot, actually. There's a lot of modality that comes out of a card like Flicker Reality. First of all, you know that you have a blue in your next hand, so that if you draw a Phantasmaclasm alongside it, you are not going to have the inefficient turn we saw earlier, pitching multiple cards to play a Phantasmaclasm. But if that ends up an extraneous blue, considering we have 0 lightning flows on the board, it's going to be really hard to enable Aphrodite and this Starfield Touch. But ensuring that we have the Flicker Reality at the ready means we can have another aura enter the arena with a hollow counter, enabling Aphrodite and the Starfield Touch alongside it. So just making sure we can actually maximize on our resources that are sitting on the board with the choice of this Flicker Reality.
And especially with still 5 more corrosive space dusts in the deck, the possibility of flickering a card that pings the opponent for arcane and generates a huge ward board is very important here. We see the attack reaction of both Tooth of the Dragon and Scar Tissue, pumping up the Obsidian Fire Vein up to 5, blocked with Starfield Touch, which means there's 4 damage currently leaking through. Unless the instants are about to be played, and there it is.
Flicker hits the board, triggering our star play, generating a resource which could well be feeding into our Aphrodite or even the Starfield Touch to follow it. In this case, offering 1 additional point of prevention as well, which means Andrew will be making his way down to 5 points of life, being marked by the Scar Tissue, and then with this critical Flicker Reality Leaves trigger, we're going to be flickering a flicker
We're
all
flickering a
over the
flicker.
place.
So all the hollow counters you could possibly ask for if Andrew still has another aura that needs flickering, he can also play it now since the flickered flicker has a flicker effect of itself.
But it looks like we are moving to the next chain link, which suggests that there are no more auras to be flickered in Andrew's hand, at least none that he's interested in playing out right now. That 1 resource has Aphrodite's name on it, but it means we are following in with an attack for 4, a card in hand with Andrew at just 5 life. This is almost assuredly going to demand a card from Andrew's hand if he'd like to stay in this game.
Yeah, saying no blocks doesn't seem wise with 4 power currently staring down your face with another card in hand. And there it is, Shattering Stardust.
Indeed,
Going
another one of
on
these
blocking
majestic
duty.
Another one
Yeah,
of these
it's a
zero
very
cost majestic attack actions coming from the armory deck, but this one is just going to serve as a 3 block in this moment. In fact, we're going to see 2 of them hit the board, blocking for 6. We are absolutely not interested in letting this dagger deal any more damage to us this turn if we can help it.
And with the dagger being overblocked, it serves as an incentive to win, to just save the card currently in hand. And we see Aphrodite swinging in for 2, basically unpreventable damage at this point since there's no arcane barrier. And when drops down to 11, but Andrew, having no card in hand, just needs to pass the turn, untaps their Aphrodite, and sends the turn back to the Fang with the 3 fealty 5 card hand gunning them down.
It is a pretty dire position for Andrew. He is going to need a miracle or a brick from Fang's side, but a brick is pretty impossible when that resource engine is in play, and we see that powerful starter coming out once again from the Hunted for Go Again, courtesy of Oath of Loyalty, meaning we are expecting to only see Draconic cards played this turn, but we might well see that Draconic label given to an additional card here and there, courtesy of those fealties on the board. In this case, we are simply blocking 3, warding 1, letting the Flicker Reality trigger go as the first dagger swings in for 1. It's just 1. Surely it'll never be more than 1.
It's safe. Just say no blocks and it'll be fine. But with 4 cards available to them, Andrew needs to block this and another 3 block put in front of it. And there it is, the second Draco Fire doing a good tooth impression, sidestepping, pumping in this chain link, but giving its power to the next.
Ooh, which
So
leads
this
to
is a Blaze Headlong for 6, and
absolutely massive attack coming in. Looks like we might just be blocking 2 on this, going all the way down to 1
down to
in the face of
1.
a dagger for 1 as our last chain link, but perhaps not even our last chain link. This last card has to block, but it isn't a
It's
blocking
a
card, it is a
blink.
blink. And with no reactions necessary, we see, oh, this was going to be an insanely wide turn, following up with a pledge fealty for a dagger for 2, and finally ending with a gigantic for the realm, not for the realm, for the Drakai, a 0
Or
for
the
4
drop
finisher.
high.
Uh, Absolutely
Oh,
insanely wide turn. I mean,
oh,
Fang giving us
crazy.
draconic ninja impression there, where Ziggy, for a brief moment, tried to give us the impression that they could go extremely wide as well, but we maybe petered out a little bit, and we were forced to play that Phantasmaclasm off
Yeah, the
3 reds. A bit of an
4 card
unfortunate draw
9.
order. Yeah,
Yeah,
a tough
playing a
spot to
4
be in.
card 9 sets you behind quite a bit. If only he had access to a blue or an embodiment of lightning during that turn, could have sent a double snatch instead. But alas, that is the variance of playing a lot of reds in your deck without access to a lot of resource cards. So currently we see this the scoreboard. There's a W for the blue pitch. Score is 1-0. Will the blue pitch be making their revenge after the last show match of Compendium ending in TC TheCardGuyz favor 3-2? Right now, blue pitch is on a strong footing. So, Shamir, before we interview the players, what are your thoughts after seeing the Ziggy and the Fang play out?
It was a particularly interesting look at seeing Ziggy play out early on. I feel like Ziggy is very much an unsolved puzzle for our players right now. Many different ways to take the deck, and it was great to see Andrew working with Aphrodite and even actually pushing a little bit of some of that unpreventable arcane damage in this matchup. But I think the key thing we're still trying to figure out is which cards are actually giving us the all important play patterns which drive the deck forward. And in this case, we got to see some really powerful combinations with Snatch and Lightning Press and sending a Phantasmaclasm, which was particularly powerful and disruptive. But sometimes it's just the core ratios of making sure we're drawing enough blues to fund a card like Phantasmaclasm to begin with, which can be the kind of early sticking point, the early tripping up point of these deck lists.
Yeah,
We
it's
have our
very
players.
interesting to see
Mm.
a new take on Illusionist, which is usually touted as a very defensive board state class. Here we see that no blocks, the wards are just there for the flickering to turn on my Aphrodite and sending very overrate attacks with the different downside of Phantasm and Fragment, which punishes different types of decks. And being overrate against decks that can't punish you, like decks that don't want to block, don't trigger fragment, or decks that don't have popper and can't pop your phantasm attacks, it's very interesting to see this very red line build. But let's see what the players who built the deck think about it. Let's interview the players.
Players, congratulations on a fantastic game, Andrew and Wen. I feel like we suddenly early on that game we got to see both of these deck lists really shine for a moment. Um, Andrew, talk to me about Ziggy Starlight, this deck building mystery, and the first time that we've seen the Illusionist class cross over with the Lightning talent. How did you approach deck building for this brand new hero?
So I do not believe that Aphrodite is currently the best way to build him. I think there's kind of what we saw here. There's a few too many missing pieces. You need a few too many things to line up correctly. With that said, when I wanted to build this deck, I still wanted to focus on that and see just where could I find the raw numbers that it kind of felt like the strategy was missing. So I looked to the illusionist pool and specifically fractal replication to see, with access to additional sources of go again from the lightning talent, if we could put together some very large, just illusionist based turns. And we got to see that a little bit early on. I still think that the list has too many finicky things. Too many things need to line up with each other. And if you stumble even a little bit, you just fall so far behind, like we saw this game. I drew one hand that didn't have a blue when I needed to play a Phantasmaclasm, and it kind of just all went downhill from there. That said, there is a lot of raw power in the class and in the talent, even aside from generic illusionist stuff. With Ziggy's card pool and with Aphrodis and some of these things, there are some genuinely powerful turns he did. I think I labbed out like a 4-card 20 if everything goes right in some ways things line up. But again, it's very finicky. You have to get lucky. So I hope people take that away from this, if nothing else.
Indeed, I think the deck building puzzle is still there to be cracked, but the promise of power is most certainly there, as we can see. Meanwhile, when I think we got to see the Fang kind of engine of 3 fealties get online particularly quickly in this game, ready by turn 2, and really funded by that all-important new card added from this set, Draco Fire, which has given us access to another way to kind of cost reduce our second swing of the Searing Ember, not the Searing Emberblade, our Draconic Daggers, our Obsidian Fire Veins. Wen, talk to me about how you feel Draco Fire has affected deck building for Fang, and do you think it's Fang Gang? Is it Fang Gang's time at last?
Yep. I think Draco Fire is very powerful. The additional card in this set for the fan, and basically after this card in my deck, so every time I'm set up one figure and I didn't complete 3 fealty, so I still can play it in the forest card turns. So I think this card is big buff in fan, and I think right now is more effective for all my block and my attack, and I get my 3 fealties very fast, so I think it's very good right now.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And do you think Fang can now contend with the likes of Mario and Victor in the current meta with the introduction of this new card, coupled with the Smoldering Steel from the Compendium of Wraith?
Unfortunately, Mario and Victor, I think are still a big problem on it, because in Victor, you will lose all the quest, the block card, and Mario is too powerful on it right now, and he didn't get any banish. So I try and lock, but if you get 3 fealty on turn 0, turn 1 something, so you will get very fast and you still have some chance to win. But mostly I think this 2 deck is still unwinnable.
We'll see as the metagame develops. Perhaps these heroes get pushed out, and indeed Victor is kind of on the threshold of living legending over the course of this upcoming national season, and that might be the opening that Fang needs to make his way into the meta. Players, thank you very much for the game and for your performance. It's great to see these heroes on display in preparation for OMENS season. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
with that
Oh yeah, that's the end of the first match, but we still have 4 more matches, which means 8 more decks that we get to see. And the next one coming right up is William Bradshaw piloting none other than Betsy with the new log
She's got
versus
that
David
skin in the
Yao
game.
on Oscilio. And without further ado, let's take a peek at the deck list. And I just love the name of the deck right here. It's I'm Logged In. And that's because all of the Betsy players, Guardian players around the world, I know all my friends at home are rejoicing at the release of the new weapon for Betsy, which is, as you can see in her art, is a big log. And the
Indeed,
pile driver.
Is the name of the game. Pile Driver is an all-important 4-cost weapon that's swinging in for 6 damage. But really, I mean, that basically counts as another Sledge of Anvilheim. Where things get really interesting is the trigger of when this attacks, you may wager a gold token with the defending hero. Having a consistent way to wager on the board means you can consistently have an outlet to use Betsy's triggered ability, pay an additional 2 resources, which means this slides really neatly off pitching 2 blue cards to send 7 with overpower, and on hit, or rather on wager, we are threatening a gold token, which we can immediately feed back into the good time chapeau for a wager on a future turn. Betsy kind of felt like she's lacked this consistency piece for a long time and has struggled to have a weapon that actually plays well with her play patterns and her kit. But when we look at some of the deck cards at play, I mean, some of her specializations are truly outrageous in power level. Cards like Bet Big and Drink 'em Under the Table are threatening 9 damage with overpower, and these incredibly impactful on-hit abilities of I'll get a gold, a might, and a vigor, or I'll threaten to draw a card while my opponent discards a card is a particularly brutal one.
Yeah,
So the
if you've
question,
ever been on the receiving end of one of those attacks, you know you really hate to see it. With these being Betsy specs, these are limited for her and not available for other guardians, thankfully. But these cards, coupled with the consistent pile driver, means that the deck can run 30 blues very comfortably without drawing the quote-unquote guardian hand where you send a measly attack. You're very comfortable blocking 2 cards, for example, a 3 block and a defense reaction for 7, and on your turn just with 2 blues, swing the pile driver for 7 overpower, netting you a 14-point turn plus a gold.
some extremely impressive numbers coming out of Betsy, and I hope we get to see these manifest in the game. Meanwhile, David has brought us a new take on an old face in Oscilio Constella Intelligence. Now, Oscillionaires out there, we've suffered some losses. We've suffered some heavy losses, not least our beloved weapon of Volzar the Lightning Rod, which has been replaced by a slightly more tame version in Volzar Meteor Storm. But don't let that change fool you. There is absolutely some power to be found in this deck. There are old faces that we are happy to see return in Lightning Greaves and Gone in the Flash, which means we are still capable of a massive go wide aggressive physical damage turn, and even if we don't get to cap it off with a gigantic spell at the end, we can easily threaten 20 or more damage courtesy of those Lightning Greaves. And indeed, we can see more of a lean into this physical damage with copies of Yellow Electrostatic Discharge, particularly powerful alongside Gone in the Flash being in this deck list. But from the arcane side, there are some interesting things happening as well. Tell me more about that, Adia.
Yeah, we see the copies of the new card, Astral Bridge, which is a 0-cost Lightning Wizard instant, which puts the top card of your deck into the graveyard, and if it's an instant, you may play it this turn, which means Astral Bridge, during a Gone in a Flash turn, if you can set up the top of your deck, or just by having a sheer number of instants in your deck, you can get 2 instants out of playing 1 card, which means more Gone in a Flash swings. And another one is Echo Flash, which deals a simple 1-cost, deal 1 arcane damage to target hero, but when it's put into the graveyard from anywhere, so by discarding it from Oscilio, for example, or by popping it from Astral Bridge, it deals the 1 arcane damage to target hero free of cost without having to pay. So we see the very heavy leaning into a lot more instants and getting the Gone in Flash combo, and with being a very heavy combo deck, playing Aether Spindle in the main deck to opt into the combo faster. And the instant package, lastly, we see the new instant Starlight Road, which is a 0 cost blue, which creates an embodiment of lightning or a lightning flow depending on your need. But since we're old Oscilio, we don't really care about lightning flow. We just can make the 0 cost lightning embodiment.
Absolutely love the modality of a card like Starlight Road, and in this case, while we might only see one of its 2 modes being used, there are certainly some applications which we'll see in other heroes where that lightning flow generation might be so critical. But the question is, can Oscilio still put together that gigantic Gone in a Flash combo in the face of a gigantic log swinging at him? Let's make our way to the table and find out these players' perspectives on the matchup.
And we see a very interesting piece of equipment for the Oscilio side. It's the Talismanic Lens, usually a card only seen in Kanos of old, using it to combo, but now with a card that cares about the top of your deck, being the Astral Bridge, the Opt 2 from Talismanic Lens, it provides to be very, very interesting choice, which can guarantee you getting an instant from the Astral Bridge, or since Oscilio can discard a card to draw a card, guaranteeing what you draw off of your hero ability. Now we see the players rolling off to decide who goes first.
Looks
Who
like
do you
Oscilio
think
has
is-
won that die roll, and I think David is going to opt to go first with that in mind, because we need to just dig through the deck looking for that Gone in a Flash to start enabling these powerful combo turns. From the equipment side, it's pretty much what we expected to see from the deck list for Oscilio, with that Talismanic Lens appearing in the helm slot to hopefully aid the Astral Bridges that might follow it, and preparation for an extremely quick game here with Old Knocker being played instead of Fyendal's Spring Tunic. Meanwhile, from Betsy's side, we're skimping a little bit on that Arcane Barrier here
Yeah,
with
only
just the use
AB1.
of Null Rune Gloves, a Arcane Barrier 1, but perhaps recognizing that Oscilio 1 is more likely than not going to be an all physical damage deck, really leaning into that Gone in the Flash physical combo, and because of that, we don't actually need that much Arcane Barrier prepared here.
Yeah, the quick dodge flexor. If you have multiple blues in hand, if the Gone in Flash is attacking at least 6 times, you can pitch 2 blues for a whopping 12 value. We see the game starting off very innocuously, swinging for 2 go again after discarding an instant. At 2 no go again, because no lightning action has been played before it.
Indeed, it looks like David is just looking to filter some cards here, try and get deeper into the deck, playing out a copy of Electrostatic Discharge just to try and draw some additional cards in this end phase, digging deep for the Gone in a Flash. But that leaves Will with a little bit of card filtering going into this turn and full tempo as the Tunic ticks up to 1. And we will undoubtedly see, well, not some overpower hitting the board in this case, but an old classic disruptive attack in Command and Conquer, threatening David's arsenal. One thing to note about the Oscilio deck is with the number of instants that have been added to it and the number of action speed spells reduced, its blocking capabilities have not gone up. I'll put it that way. So this Command and Conquer might well be connecting.
But with the increased number of instants, there also increases the probability of having an instant that you can play out of your arsenal. However, although it is an instant, it is not a profitable one to be played on the opponent's turn. So taking 3, blocking with the E-Strike, and losing a card. Now we're starting off the turn with a Gone in a Flash, no go again, 2 cards in hand.
Okay, well, we have found that all critical combo piece in Gone in a Flash, which at least says that the game plan is ready to be executed in this game. But the question is, can we find the instance to back it up on a future turn? and to make sure that we are actually able to play out the full combo. We see a pretty interesting card being played out here in Slap Happy.
It's a very, very interesting instant because the number of 4-cost attacks that Betsy runs, having that 1 vigor is akin to having an extra card in hand instead of having to pitch 2 cards to play a 4-cost. Now the Gone in Flash being played a second time, Shelter of the Storm blocking out cleanly. David playing a heal 3 to get the Gone in Flash back into the arsenal, and Will responds with a pile driver with a 1-card play thanks to the vigor generated from Slap Happy.
Indeed, it was one of those powerful mid-range Oscilio has that's capable of just setting out a lot of value off of 3 cards, followed up with a swing of the pile drive. And it looks like even though we're not able to pay for Betsy's ability, we're recognizing, you know what, Oscilio? I don't think you can block this out. Even if you can, what are you going to do with that gold, buddy? So we are doubling down. We are sending that wager with the gold token being threatened because Betsy just gets so much upside out of finding it. Oscilio, in response, David filtering that card and seeing what the turns cards might offer him.
I'm willing to bet a lot that Oscilio is going to take at least 3 of this damage and just keep a lot of the cards to clap back if he finds the combo piece that he wants to run with it. Although we see here, I'm going to eat my words, and he's just going to block 6 since there's a glut of action speed arcane spells in the hand that is actually able to block and not just 0 block instants.
Indeed, critically, both of those cards cost 2, and one thing that's notable about this deck list is that because we are leaning pretty hard into the Gone in the Flash combo, we end up with a lot of red and yellow instants that maybe makes it a little bit harder to fund those cards. Gone in the Flash once again coming out from Arsenal, Endless Arrow style, but in this case it is intercepted by a Test of Iron Grip, and if there's one thing this Oscilio deck is not going to do very well, it is Clash, but in this case, it clashes well enough.
And
Revealing a Test of Iron Grip on the top.
She cannot reclash. She loses the clash, and there's no way to win it.
To discard that Spinal Crush, an absolutely brutal turn of fate for her in this situation. I'm sure that Will was looking forward to sending out that Spinal Crush for a disruptive on-hit, but in this case, we are probably just leaving some resources in hand with which to threaten another attack. A pretty important turn in Oscilio's favor for this game because that Test of Iron Grip could have been brutal.
And it was interesting to see that David was kind of insulated by having 2 cards in hand instead of 1. With only 1 card in hand, if you're faced with a Test of Iron Grip, that's a guaranteed loss of the Gone in a Flash. So you either play the instant and get the Gone in Flash back and discard it, or you discard the instant. Either way, you're losing your Gone in a Flash. But having 2, he was insulated to begin with, but being lucky, you just win the clash.
Indeed, clashing coming to bite us once again, just like it's Heavy Hitters Limited. But we follow up with a powerful 2-card play of sending this 7 overpower courtesy of Betsy's triggered ability and threatening once again that gold token, saying this time, can you somehow find a way to deal with 7 through overpower, which is a pretty tall ask for Oscilio in this situation. David says, you know what, this time you're good to go. You can have that gold token in preparation for a future turn. As Will rolls up.
Oh yeah, that gold will be able to fuel the Good Time Chapeau headpiece, which is a very strong headpiece for a rare, being a temper 2 with the ability to wager by paying a gold instead of paying resources into it. And we see, in response to the Sigil of Brilliance drawing a card, he is popping the Talismanic Lens to Op 2. Will this be the pop-off turn that the Gone in a Flash has been lined up with the drawing an extra card and maybe an Astral Bridge in hand to discard the second card?
It's a pretty interesting situation considering we did not see the Lightning Greaves blocked with on the previous turn, perhaps suggesting that we're not quite ready to go, but we are looking for a specific card from the Sigil of Brilliance trigger to draw an additional card into the hand. We have 6 cards to work with, a Gone in a Flash, known in the arsenal, but from Betsy's side, we do know about that test of Iron Grip that was revealed off the previous test, telling us a little bit more that there's going to be some disruptive blocking happening from Will Bradshaw's side.
And winning a second clash in a row is very, very unlikely considering the amount of attack action cards with power in Oscilio's deck, with 4 usually being the highest compared to Betsy's Blues even block having 6 power and the sheer number of it. So we see the Test of Iron Grip being ready to block the very, very first attack.
But no luck for Betsy this time. We just end up with a draw, which I believe means
Will
neither
should
should be
discard
player.
here, yes.
Yep, all right, so we've picked up that card again, recognizing that it is a draw here. So we've just ended up with a block 4 card, which is perfectly respectable in its own right. But it means that David is sitting now on 4 cards, which we don't know about, and a second copy of Gone in a Flash in the arsenal, which we do know about. And there are some critical decisions here about how to play out the remainder of the turn. Is this the turn where we see the Lightning Greaves activated, or will we see just a slightly more disciplined hold on? But then, if we're not activating the Greaves this turn, how are we going to convert these 4 cards into some value?
Yeah, since Gunner Flash does not naturally have Go Again, but the arsenal might not be a Gunner Flash since he had 2 cards in hand last time. There might be some juking by not putting the Gunner Flash in the arsenal so that it's safe from arsenal disruption such as CNC. We
a bit
see
of hesitance,
here,
but I think David has decided that it's go time. We are activating the old knocker to generate a resource. He's playing that resource immediately into the Lightning Greaves and playing a Seduce Secrets, which will tell us maybe a little bit more about one of these players' hand and top deck in the process. But I think we might just be targeting ourselves here to bounce our Gone in the Flash back to the hand and critically renew our action point, meaning this Gone in the Flash is going to be attacking many, many times this turn. For the second time here, coming in for 4.
And quick dodge flexors, I assume, will be at the ready to block this out, since we know that Garner Flash is going to be coming back again and again. We see Pummel blocking 2 here, but coupled with the good time chapeau. So quick dodge flexors seems to not be there yet. But there it is, the new card, Astral Bridge, ready to discard the top card of the deck, which he already knows is an instant thanks to the Talismanic Lens Op 2. And since another instant has gone into the graveyard this turn, the Astral Bridge also deals 1 point of arcane damage for free.
This is a particularly brutal string of events. Swinging in for 1 arcane damage, which it seems has gone through in this situation, with Will taking 1 arcane damage. Gone in the Flash coming back yet again for 4 damage, and the Sigil of Lightning that's known to be playable this turn, but still 3 other cards which are... Oh, I think, my mistake. 2 other cards which are unknown, plus an additional copy of Gone in the Flash to try and extend this turn even further. I think we could easily be seeing 20 physical damage thrown this turn, plus a little bit of arcane damage to boot.
I think finally we're going to see quick dodge flexors committed here, knowing that at least this attack plus 2 more means a blue is a very efficient trade-in. For 6 value coupled with the quick dodge, we see especially a 2-block blue. Trading it for 6 block seems like a no-brainer. But that means 2 damage leaking through. Sigil of Lightning being played. Guardian Flash back to hand. Still 3 more cards since the Sigil of Lightning is discarded and can be played from banish. It was not in hand, but it can be played, which means there's still a lot more cards to work with. Meanwhile, Will is sitting at 1 card left in hand. So we're just seeing a string of Garner Flash and quick dodge flexors meeting each other in the middle, leaking 2 damage every time.
copy of Astral Bridge. This one
Oh
could
my
threaten an
God.
additional play of the Gone in the Flash if we have yet another instant on top, but it
Oh
is
no.
just the third copy of Gone in the Flash, threatening to still bounce this copy back to hand and deal 2 arcane damage, but we are not quite getting the insane high roll of double dipping on Gone in the Flash in this situation.
Imagine the value of getting another instant off of your second blind Astral Bridge, but we see the turn ending with Flow State Embodiment instead, the new Majestic, but however we will not see its effect being put to use since the card left back in hand is the Gone in a Flash, destined for the arsenal most likely.
It looks like Will's
However,
recognizing,
after
you know
that-
what? I'm going to use my Tunic as well for a 4th activation of the Quick Dodge Flexors here, meaning that there are only 2 cards left to play with, but a gigantic life total swing that's still only left us even at 29 to 29.
That's the blocking power of Guardians. After a big turn of multiple Ghanaian flashes, it's been dampened by the quick dodge flexors, and we see the gold cashed in by Will, and probably did not draw a blue.
Unfortunately, passing the turn because we actually knew that the top card of the deck there was a copy of Sink Below, and it looks like players have recognized that, decided to rewind the. We rewound a situation there. No, I think we are just carrying on.
Yep.
As far as I can tell, with perhaps a
So-
card going into the wrong zone earlier.
Okay. So this is the traditional fix of a card being chosen to be put on the top or the bottom of the deck. This is how
I'm
usually judges would fix it, I think.
little unclear if we're doing a hidden card error here. I think we're just waiting for our players to clarify exactly what's happening. No, before drawing up, that's the situation. Before drawing up, David would like to activate Oscilio, try and refine this hand a little bit more, recognizing that, you know what, a Seduce Secret's being played from hand is not really what I'm looking for here. And at this point, Will is ready to draw up his next hand. David's Sigil of Brilliance triggers, drawing once again a 6-card hand to work with here. However, this time we do not have the failsafe of Lightning Greaves to offer us all of the action points in the world to use all of those cards. We do start the turn with an Embodiment of Lightning, which may be critical in pushing some damage on this turn. And we see it once again coming in for 4 with Go Again.
Yeah, without this Embodiment of Lightning, this Guardian Flash would not have Go Again, and how to utilize this 5-card hand would be very hard to do without being all instants, but usually instants don't provide too much value by themselves. But we see here, it's going to be your favorite Heal 3 card, getting the Gunner Flash back in hand, and we have a Flittering Charge, an old-time favorite that all Lightning heroes could play, and all the Lightning heroes of new and old like to play instants in their deck, which means it's very easy to get Go Again with this card. However, it is matched with another Sink Below from the hand, blocking it cleanly for 4. However, the life totals are not going in the right direction. Instead of going down, it seems to be going up. With 2 Sigil of Solaces played in a single turn, no damage has been dealt. However, David has healed 6, negating the damage from the earlier pile drivers.
Maybe begs the question of, do these players have to really reformulate what the game plan is in this game now? Recognizing that action points are going to be a bit of a struggle for Oscilio to come across to an extent from now on. Perhaps Will has to pivot to a strategy where he looks for a very clear opening with which to send a powerful attack through. Alternatively, he could just decide to take some of the damage here and send this 3-card hand to try and push either some damage or ideally some disruption and try and take some of the value train off of David Yao's Oscilio here.
And that's the new card, Starlight Road, which will generate an embodiment of lightning immediately, compared to the Sigil of Lightning, which you need to wait until your start of turn for it to destroy and generate the embodiment, you get it immediately, which means you can do a mini Gun and Flash combo turn without the Greaves if you have Starlight Roads and the likes. But we see your archetypical play, 2 blues, and it's a log for 7 overpower.
2-card 7, but this time activating the Good Times Chapeau before we do so, meaning this time we are threatening several on-hits. We are certainly threatening a Might and a Vigor conferred from the wager of the Good Times Chapeau, and potentially even a gold as well. It looks like we are snapping down the 7 damage, which means all 3 tokens will be created bet big style off of these 2 cards, and this is where the log really starts to shine, folks. I mean, look at the value being placed onto the board with just 2 blues in hand.
I wish my 2 blues did that, generating 7 damage and 3 different tokens for me to play with. But going back into David's turn, it's your all-time favorite, starting the turn probably with Gun and Flash, especially with the embodiment of lightning already giving it go again. But he's having a think here, but yes, there's the old favorite play of all Oscilio's players around the world, just playing this card over and over and over, using all your instants to get it back again and again. Let's see how Will responds.
Indeed, coming in for 4 with Go Again, and David kind of blocked that log coming in for 7, either telling us that he knew he was not able to block it out, or that he's actually able to convert all of the cards in this hand quite easily. And we see a copy of Electrostatic Discharge hit the board.
In yellow.
In yellow, once again, to kind of recognize just the sheer power of offering this +2 and critically bouncing the Gauntlet Flash back to hand, which means this Flittering Charge is still following up for a respectable 6 damage and threatening Go Again courtesy of another instant.
And with still 3 cards in hand, let's see how far David can extend this chain, with Will only going down to 1 card in hand. Coupled with the Cosmic Shock and the Volzar, new Volzar, to amp 1, this is going to be 2 arcane damage while giving Flittering Charge Go Again. And we end the turn with an E-Strike, which is very interesting because it means that we're not going to see that Gun and Flash for a while. It's going to the bottom of the deck.
I love this play, recognizing that, you know what, it's going to be a lot harder to get access to the action points needed to make Gone in the Flash an effective card in my deck at this point. So I might as well cash it out, plus this Enlightened Strike in hand for a whopping 7 damage to end the turn, which has immediately knocked Will down to 17. An extremely aggressive turn of output from David, which is exactly what he needed after that bursty combo turn that we saw earlier from the Lightning Greaves.
Yes, getting the +2 value immediately is very interesting because we see Will with the Vigor and the Might is very likely to keep the 1 blue in hand to swing with the log, or pitch it to gold to swing with something else, because he does not want to lose the value of the Might and Vigor generated from the previous turn, which means all the damage that he can send with the E-Strike, even though drawing a card, if you can utilize it with an empty arsenal slot or with Go Again, is usually the better value line. But knowing that the opponent is unlikely to block and leaking damage versus Guardians is very, very important here.
Players making some decisions about maybe cards moving into the wrong zones, maybe an op mistake, but we're following up with just a good old-fashioned log swing. And in this case, we will even activate the Tunic so that we ensure we can use Betsy's ability. We have lost the Good Times Chapeau. Good Times will not be had at this point for Betsy, but there will be gold in her future if we can get this log to connect, coming in for 8 damage, courtesy of the Might token generated last turn, and threatening that gold on wager because we have used Betsy's ability, so we must be wagering a gold in this situation. Looks like David once again looks at the hand and says, I'm not doing anything about that. So taking 8 damage down and letting that gold be generated once again.
Life total crawling back to parity, 17 plays 20. David starts off the turn with the Starlight Road, which just one card create an embodiment is quite strong, setting up for the future turn. While you're not using it, it puts the instant into the graveyard, which satisfies Volzar Meteor Storm's condition of tapping for free to amp 1 this very, very impressive Aether Spindle for 5 arcane damage. Only 1 at most can be blocked. However, since it is using the Heart of Findal, going up back 1 life, so it's like preventing 2, but the opt is still for 4 instead of for 3. And opting for means that Oscilio can sculpt the perfect hand to crack with on the next turn, setting up an arsenal, especially with an embodiment of lightning in play.
So David is looking at these 4 cards at this point, deciding which ones are going to go on top and on bottom as part of the resolution of Aether Spindle. And I think this turn is a really good reflection of how, despite the deck changing to become more physical damage oriented because of the loss of Volzar Meteor Storm, we're still capable of these setup turns, these kind of off turns in which we get the chance to push some arcane damage that opponents are just not able to interact with if they decided to only take Arcane Barrier 1, as Will did in the situation. But being left with 3 cards in hand means we can follow up with this Spinal Crush, which is certainly going to threaten David's use of action points on the following turn and is undoubtedly going to demand some blocks.
Yes, that card is very devastating for all the Ninja and Lightning players out there who loves their Go Again. This card just demands at least 2 cards, sometimes even more, because a lot of your cards sometimes don't even block for 3, like Flittering Charge blocks for 2. If you have instants, they don't block. Thankfully, this time the instant does block in the form of Cloud Cover, preventing 3 damage, which means leaking 3, but we're able to keep the cards. And the clapback is just a very simple Comet for 5 arcane, which means we're saving the embodiment for a later turn. And again, being on only AB1, we're leaking the arcane damage. So will William Bradshaw regret only very skimping on the arcane prevention, or will he be able to disrupt and clap back with a Drinkum under the table?
Yeah, with a card like this, I don't think Will is too sad to be seeing that damage come through, because we are now threatening an absolutely gigantic amount of damage. 9 damage with Overpower. Again, very threatening on hit, of forcing David to discard a card if this connects, and drawing Will a card in the process. Now, that draw card might not be the most impactful, considering we can already see a card in Will's arsenal, but forcing Oscilio to discard a card while eating 9 damage is pretty impressive off a 3-card hand.
And every card Oscilio gets to keep is usually a lot more damage. So being forced to discard 1, especially after taking 9, which means he will be dropping to a very low life total if he does not block this at all, which it seems like he is, dropping down all the way to 8. This means all future attacks are very, very scary and needs to be blocked, especially with the log having overpower. His life is numbered here. The timer is on. Will he be able to do 10 damage before the log logs him away with the overpower, punishing not running any reactions versus Betsy?
David opening up this turn with a Flittering Charge that consumes the embodiment of lightning, maybe telling us that there aren't that many attack actions in the hand to play around with. I wonder if that tips off Will as to the contents of the hand, whether there might be a couple of lightning presses coming in the future on this attack, looking to kind of cheese out some damage to end this game. We see a block of 3 preparing for the lightning press, but in this case, we do just have a follow-up of a flow state embodiment, which, again, this may be the first time we're going to see this powerful Majestics ability come into play, with the lightning press being played here for an additional 3 damage and critically triggering the ability of flow state embodiment, allowing us to generate another embodiment of lightning in preparation for the next turn. David has managed a fantastic economy of action points over the course of this game. Meanwhile, Will's just coming in with a log again for 7 overpower, with life totals at single digits at this point. It is all to play for. 7 overpower, threatening a gold on hit.
But David being at 8, which means this attack is not yet lethal, and Echo Flash there being very, very important, being discarded, already pinging 1 arcane, Will already at 5 life, needs
And
to
with the
use the
activation of
tunic.
Gold's Army that's coming in for 2 arcane, drawing back the card for free. This was effectively a completely free 2 arcane damage on the turn.
0 card, 2
Extremely
arcane
powerful.
on the opponent's turn nonetheless. And since this attack is not lethal, he has the option to keep all the cards in hand to clap back if they all convert, but still has the option to block with at least 1 if the action point economy is not there to save 3 life.
Oh, we might be gambling. We spy another copy of Astral Bridge at this point, and recognizing that there are no resources at play here, it might be time to try and push just a little bit of extra damage with this Astral Bridge. But
Yeah,
David is
shields
thinking
are
carefully.
down for Will. No resources floating, no tunic resource, so any arcane damage sent right here, right now is true damage. The Astral Bridge is guaranteed 1 point of damage since another instant has dropped into the graveyard before it is resolved, but will he find another instant to cash it back? Or will he just keep all the cards, take 7, go down to 1? Let's see what he does here.
Looks like we are
it's
playing out
gambling
the
time.
bridge. Well, we can be assured that 1 arcane damage is going to be going through because, as you mentioned, Starfall has already been enabled, and it seems the Astral Bridge manages to mill a second copy of Gone in the Flash, meaning the only one
2
left in the deck
times.
is the one that has been sunk to the bottom with an Enlightened Strike earlier in this game. But there is the upside of that critical 1 arcane damage going through, meaning that David only has to push 3 more points of damage over the course of this game to try and close it out. But before he does
And with
that, he has to answer this log coming in for 7 with overpower.
Yeah, with access to arcane spells such as the Opt spell, the Comet for 5, there are plenty of spells, but we see Aether Bindings probably going into blocking duty here? Or is it being activated?
I think it's a block here, blocking for 1, which means there are no other blocks on the combat chain. We are going to 2. Overpower will likely spell lethal on any attack next turn, meaning it is do or die for David Yao's Oscilio. And Will has managed to draw his entire deck. So we will be reverting that quickly.
Yep. Yeah. Life total is very, very close now. 2 to 3. I didn't imagine it's going to be this exciting, this close between an old Oscilio with a new take versus the old hero that everyone's been writing off as, oh yeah, there's just the worst guardian, there's better guardians out there. Now with an introduction of a single card in the pile driver weapon, she's now a real hero threatening a very decisive game plan of 7 overpower. I have you on the clock, and I have blocks and disruption. If you can't deal with it, I will have lethal on you.
Weapons can be so powerful in the game of Flesh and Blood, and indeed we see here that this 7 overpower has been coming in so consistently over the game that Betsy fans, your prayers have been answered, and the log is here to stay.
We see a pop of the gold, a gold won from a wagers a long time ago, finally cashed in for a brand new card. 1 resource floating. And we have a current
digging
for 5.
digging maybe for a slightly more impressive attack action to send here than this current funnel, which is just coming in for 5 with Go Again from the embodiment of lightning, but not from its own ability, which means we are not expecting another action to have Go Again on this turn. We are just coming in for 5 physical damage. We are clashing on top, which means Will is winning this clash twofold this time. First of all, generating a vigor from the Clash of Vigor's own effect, and generating a second vigor because a wallop was revealed on top to win that clash.
But clashes are also a double-edged sword since David now knows the top of the deck. It might change his game plan going forward, knowing what's on top of there. It might be relevant for cards that mill the top of the deck, but not right now since all 3 copies of Astral Bridges are already in the graveyard. A shock for 1 is met by an Arcane Barrier pitching a whole card to prevent that 1 damage, which means these 2 vigors are very important to be able to send draw a card and then send the log, maybe.
The question is it going to have overpower? We do know that that top card was a wallop blue, meaning 2 blues have been pitched. This log is coming in for 7 with overpower, but it might not be the end of the game just yet, folks. Remember that we did see a copy of Cloud Cover being played by David Oscilio earlier, which could prevent 3 damage and take us down to 1 life for the end of this game. But it means that David critically has to find a 3-block action card plus a copy of Cloud Cover, at least 1 copy of Cloud Cover, in order to survive on this turn. We are activating Oscilio, discarding another Echo Flash, activating Voltar in the process.
Another possibility here is, instead of blocking, is just to kill your opponent outright with 2 arcane damage for free.
And we see a shot from Arsenal to finish us off with 3 free arcane damage at the end of the game, scraping out with this arcane damage and revealing the hand. There was not a hope in the world of blocking that 7 overpower from the log. But why need that when you can just send Wizard Lethal on your opponent's turn? What an incredible end to that game, really demonstrating the power of multiple new cards between Starlight Road offering such consistency of Go Again, Astral Bridge offering that critical arcane damage and the ability to high roll, draw an additional card on a flash combo turn, and Echo Flash doing an unbelievable amount of work this game in dealing a massive amount of arcane damage. An incredible game to witness.
And old Oscilio being 2 free arcane damage whenever you use your hero ability is just, it sounds kind of bonkers. 0 card 2 arcane, and it can be on the opponent's turn as well. Yeah, they're really showcasing these new cards. Everyone was very, very sad. All the Oscillionaires in the world was like, oh, they killed Oscilio, no CLV, no... What's the instant that returns the attack action back to hand?
No somersault, no Voltar. I mean, that
no Voltar. Oh, we're dead. We're dead.
Hero.
But no, Oscilio's not dead. Oscilio's still alive and kicking. And the combo turn, I can already see it being very, very scary with Seduce Secrets, 3 Astral Bridges, all the electrostatic discharges in red and yellow. You can really turn out a 30-40 damage turn easily, even without any arcane during the turn. But that was a very interesting match. That was very fun to watch. Let's hear from the players themselves. Let's move to the interview.
Welcome, players, and congratulations on an absolutely fantastic game. That was a real nail-biter of a game to watch, and we got to see both decks really executing their game plan so effectively. I think this was an incredible showcase of what these heroes have picked up. David, I want to start with talking about Oscilio, considering so many people were dismayed by the banned and restricted announcement that kicked off Omen season, which took away so many of Oscilio's old tools, which we've known to love or hate, depending on which side of the table you've been. But you demonstrated an incredible take on this deck, balancing the physical damage output of a Gone in the Flash combo turn with the Arcane on your opponent's turn, courtesy of Echo Flash especially. What was it like to brew this deck in a world where we've lost so many old Oscilio cards?
So okay, I think that like Oscilio definitely got a very big nerf. The Fosa especially, I would say the Fosa is the one that hurts him the most. But out of Omens, I think that Echo Flash and the Astral Bridges are both exceptionally good card for Oscilio. So I wanted to try it out, and I think that OG Oscilio now has an slight advantage of there are a lot of builds that you can go into, like you can go into some 0-4 red lines build, you can go for a tall arcane build, or you can go for a more combo heavy build with Gone in a Flash. So it's kind of difficult for your opponents to predict like which build you will be going into, which gives you a slight advantage before the game. So I think the deck is now pretty bad into fatigue decks, but you have to try, like you can still try with a like combo heavy turn and do a very big Gone in a Flash turn with Astral Bridges, Seduce Secrets. So I think it's like overall very fun, and it's still a pretty good deck, although maybe not very competitive. At least it's a very fun deck to try out.
Absolutely. I mean, what a combo turn we saw in that game with multiple Astral Bridges being played out with a Gone in the Flash on the board. Sure, only one of them managed to draw that additional instant, but what an incredible turn that was. And an absolute nail-biter finish with 3 arcane damage on your opponent's turn, facing lethal damage that you couldn't hope to block. Incredible way to end it out. But, Will, that log, though. That log, though. Tell me about Betsy, man.
That log. Well, Betsy, it's very exciting to see Betsy get a weapon that is very fitting to her hero. It enables her to just have like, you better figure it out, otherwise this log's gonna get you. And honestly, the best part about this hero, in my opinion, I flew in from Copenhagen last night, and boy are my arms tired. So just getting to sit here and swing log was so nice. And truth be told, it almost got there. It was pretty close. I thought it was very fun.
Very close. And
Yeah,
how's your hopes for Betsy going forward with this new weapon in the meta, especially after Victor LL's hopefully soon?
Well, I definitely think that there's definitely something there. But truth be told, this is like my armory deck. This is what I'm showing up at the locals with, just to have a good bit of fun. As far as for the competitive events for the upcoming season, probably going to hop on a hero that's a little bit more spicy, but still for fun, Betsy's a great choice.
Absolutely. Repetitive and consistent play patterns can be so powerful in the game of Flesh and Blood. And I think this game, actually from both players, was such an incredible demonstration of that. The ability to fuel Gone in the Flash with action points, and the ability to just leverage this powerful weapon that offers you this 2-card 7, evasive with overpower, and an important on-hit. I mean, this is what the game is all about. And it was incredible to see both of your deck engines pop off so well.
It's very nice to see when decks get to do their thing. And we see that early on that, oh, what's the gold going to do other than fuel Chapeau? But we see that it can turn the 1-card hand into a log swing. It can power up those 4-cost attacks that a lot of Guardians run using a single blue paired up with that gold. So there's a lot of avenues that you can utilize this pile driver to drive your way to victory. But before we head on to the next match, let's take a peek at the scoreboard. Currently, the score is 2-0 in favor of the blue pitch. So can the TheCardGuyz claw back their way and earn a victory, being a 3-for-2 reverse sweep? Or will we see a domination akin to what was what it was like back in the Everfest Blitz days where the card guys got stomped? Or will they claw back and get the 3-2 like they did in the Compendium of Wraith?
Let's see,
Now-
guys, you've got some heavy lifting to do, but thank you very much, players, for that incredible game that we just were able to witness, and best of luck to your teams as we carry on through the show match.
Until next time, Willie B signing off.
He's signing off. He's logging off. He's
He's
logged
logging
on,
off.
and now he's logged off. Alrighty,
that
taking
was
us
very
into taking us into our third game and the last game, which Adia and I will be casting. We have a battle between our two new heroes, but one of them is an old face, but with a new veneer on top. Aurora, Legacy of Tempest, being piloted by Nathan Crawford against Nova Chan's take on Ziggy Starlight. Let's have a look at these deck lists, and we've got to start with talking about Aurora. Adia, tell me about this
I
list.
love Aurora. Like, I've been waiting for this day ever since old Aurora left. I've been waiting for a new Aurora to play with. And Nathan is playing the Aurora the old way, the 0 for 4, go again, not utilizing her hero ability at all. I feel like there's no other flow generation other than the 2 flow state embodiments and the single copy of the fabled Voltaris. But other than that, it's just your good old 0 for 3, 0 for 4, go again with Fry, Lightning Surge, Rabble, Scar, Second Strike, all your good favorites, but we see new inclusions as well, especially in the blue base, which is Arcanic Reproach, which deals damage to the opponent after they deal damage to you, and you can kill off your own auras to keep it around if you have any, and you do have some in the form of Sigil of Voltaris, which is the new card from Compendium, which deals arcane damage when it enters or leaves. So Arcanic Reproach paired with Sigil of Voltaris makes up the entire blue base, only 6 blues, and the rest of the deck is red, just go again, go again, go again. And the 2 new attacks that they're running is Volatile Fluxor, which gets +3 if you've played an instant, and Path of the Same Ends, which after it was spoiled, I saw this is going to be a powerhouse. This is a 0 for 4 with go again one way or another. Either your opponent takes the arcane, you get the go again, or you pay the 1 and it gets the go again. So it's a very interesting low to the ground deck list. Let's see the Ziggy deck.
From the Ziggy side of things, we are looking at, there's been a whisper of this deck, and in fact, we might have seen a couple of YouTube deck techs around on it, but we are looking at a completely different take on Ziggy in this situation, leveraging Reality Refractor as the weapon of choice, a weapon which really has not seen play in a very, very long time. I think there was some experimentation with using Reality Refractor in Enigma instead of Cosmo, but that kind of ended up a bit of a fringe deck for a while. In this case, it might well be the front and center weapon for Ziggy Starlight. The combination of having access to these powerful 0 cost and 1 cost auras, which slide really effectively off a blue to send 5 damage, and if you can keep those auras on the board and a card with which to swing them on the future turn, you are representing 1 card 5s turn after turn after turn, which perhaps explains some of the more defensive aspects of this deck list. The 3 copies of Fate Foreseen, Shelter from the Storm, and Sink Below, as well as numerous ward permanents and access to a bevy of blues with which to swing the weapons created by Reality Refractor. But it's not all weapons and auras all the way down here. We do have access to some powerful attack actions, courtesy of Enlightened Strike and Scar for a Scar and Spears of Reality as extenders, and of course, good old Command and Conquer and those illusionist powerhouse cards that we saw represented by Andrew Cook earlier today in Miraging Metamorph and Phantasmaclasm. There's a lot of dynamism to this deck list, ways in which you can represent very high value off a single card, and ways in which you can seek to disrupt your opponent and even go quite wide with some of these combinations of cards in the deck. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out in this matchup, and the only way we'll find out is by making our way to the table.
Let's see, the players are readying up. They're going to roll their dice to determine who goes first. I'm interested to see which leg piece does Ziggy choose to bring in this matchup, since he does run both Phantasmal Footsteps and the Lightning Greaves. Since Aurora does not run any poppers, probably the Greaves, but without any Gone in a Flashes in the deck, it's probably going to provide go again to bigger cards, probably like Phantasmaclasm, to be paired with other attacks following up after.
Well, the interesting thing about Aurora being a Runeblade is that there's naturally a lot to balance. We want some Arcane Barrier somewhere in the equipment, and it looks like we've opted for Nova to place that Arcane Barrier in the glove slot with Calming Gesture, which means that he can have access to Phantasmal Footsteps in the boot slot. Perhaps not for the clause that helps us gain an action point back for Phantasm, but just for the ability to pay a resource into it and have a consistent one block should Aurora choose to close the chain at any point. Meanwhile,
And the
from
one block
Nathan's
being
side,
sorry, and the one block
yeah,
being very relevant against the new weapon from the new Aurora, being a 1 power weapon, Scorpio. If it is not blocked, it also deals 1 arcane damage. So that Phantasmal Footsteps being able to match Scorpio every time along the way means it is technically coming in for 2 value instead of 1. And Aurora, we're already in the game, just start off their turn with Arsenal Pass, and we have Ziggy coming in with E-Strike coupled with a new card.
we need to talk about Fleeing Starbreeze. This is perhaps one of the most important cards to the Refractor deck because it does double duty. First of all, it allows you to give an attack on the combat chain go again, and that can be an attack from one of your Reality Refractor weapons or an attack action card being played out, as we're seeing here in the form of this Enlightened Strike. But critically, it leaves behind on the board another Ward Aura, which can be swung as a weapon thanks to Reality Refractor. So that draw a card from Enlightened Strike effectively turned Enlightened Strike into a 1-card 5, immediately given go again with the Fleeing Starbreeze, which was then in turn swung for another 5. A 3-card 10, leaving behind 1 ward on the board and a card in Arsenal, which, if we can defend out all of Nathan's attacks on this turn cycle, threatens to become another 1-card 5 on the following turn. This is the power of Fleeing Starbreeze in this Refractor
Very
deck.
scary. But Nathan's having none of it, taking all 10 damage to clap back with all 5 cards. And with the old Aurora specialization, Arc Lightning, you love to see it. Whenever a card resolves their go again ability, it deals 1 arcane damage and it gives the next thing go again. So it itself deals 1 arcane, which pings the ward 1 off the table immediately, and it gives an E-Strike played next go again, which means if he chooses the mode draw a card, it's also a 1-card 5. These Lightning Heroes and E-Strike is a really good coupling, I see.
I mean, Enlightened Strike is a card where if you're capable of getting 2 modes out of it, it is absurdly powerful. And in this case, all of these Lightning Heroes able to confer go again to the card itself means that it's very easy to get 2 modes out of Enlightened Strike in this situation, being a 5 go again that has drawn a card at the cost of another card sunk, effectively a 0 for 5 with go again. Nova very judiciously recognized that, you know what, there's going to be too much damage on this turn for me to protect this Fleeing Starbreeze, so I am just going to let the damage through here. Followed up immediately with a sizzle with go again, and we're putting the fries in the bag, folks. We are absolutely sending tons of go again on this turn, which will open up potentially for our final swing to be that Scorpio coming in for 1 point of damage and threatening an additional point of arcane on hit. But Nova's got some defensive tricks before then. We are playing out this copy of Sink Below, choosing to keep the remainder of the hand, and otherwise taking 2 more damage from Scorpio. A pretty impressive first real turn from Nathan here.
Yeah, that was quite the clapback, going down from 40 all the way down to 28 after a block with a defense reaction. But that life total being lower means that the Scar for a Scar has go again. It's tactical, letting the damage leak through. Scar for a Scar coming in for 4 go again. It's a card that Nathan also runs in his deck.
And in this case, we are offering +1 from a crackle from afar, which takes up to 5 with go again, which can immediately then swing the crackle of afar thanks to Reality Refractor coming in for another 5. We're once again seeing these 3-card 10s at play, and that kind of rate is pretty impressive on its own. It might not match up with an Arc Lightning turn, but Nathan is going to have the screws to in this game to just convert his hand every single turn before the board state starts spiraling out of control.
Yeah, every time Nathan is unable to clear a ward off the table, it just means that the opponent can keep a single blue in hand to swing for 5, which is such an above rate play, especially for keeping a blue, which is usually your lowest rate cards in the deck. Nathan, however, have 5 cards available at his disposal, his headpiece being the Crown of Providence. Means there's a decision to be made. Does he want to wash away the arsenal, or is he happy with the cards that he has been dealt with?
Players think about how they might convert their hands as the turn carries on here. Nathan, of course, having access to Lightning Greaves as his leg equipment. We're probably not going to see much use of the Arcane Barrier, but we are likely going to see an activation of them at some point, a la Oscilio, to gain access to many additional action points. In this case, I think Nathan's decided, you know what, I need to find a way to convert this whole hand, and it does not involve that card that was placed in Arsenal last turn. We're cycling that away in favor of a new one from the top of the deck.
Going down to 22 life, however, Tunic is now on 3, which means it is available to be paired up with that Lightning Greaves if the need arises for an extra action point, if he has the instants to pair with it in his hand. Zyggy starting the board with the 1 ward, which denies the shock from the burn-up shock very, very cleanly. However, for the entire turn, any attack that comes in, Arc Lightning coming in, which means there's going to be a lot of Arcane coming in. However, the physical must also be blocked. If not, the burn-up will deal an extra 4 points of Arcane damage. We see the tried and true pairing of Arc Lightning plus E-Strike draw card mode. This is coming in for 5, go again at the end, ping an arcane damage, 2 cards left in hand. And there it is, a new card from the Zyggy Armory deck, the Stardust Spike, a Ward 2 instant, which covers up the 5 cleanly. However, the 1 arcane will still leak through thanks to Arc Lightning.
Stardust Spike is particularly powerful in the situation for perfectly blocking out the physical damage from the Enlightened Strike and denying that burn up on hit. But that resource that's been left behind, interestingly, was not spent on Arcane Barrier, which critically means it could potentially be spent on the Phantasmal Footsteps. However, Nathan's got an answer that is maybe going to deter Nova from using his footsteps in that way, because that Lightning Surge coming in for 7 would pop the boots, but in this case, he has the defense reaction. We managed to spend the whole hand blocking out, and while Nova will likely not have any damage to return on this turn, he has blocked out 2 absolutely gigantic power turns from Nathan, and Nathan is once again forced to drop 4 cards and find a way to convert it in the face of this damage. But there is still damage to send, courtesy of the Spears of Surreality coming in for 5 with go again. It's 1 card 5s all over the place for Nova Chan's deck.
Yeah, these Lightning Heroes really like their 1 card 5s, and without poppers in Nathan's deck, that card is probably destined for the life total, as we see dropping down to 17. And in the previous turn, the burn up shock did not convert, which meant that the whole card only dealt 1 point of value. And meanwhile, Nova Chan is blocking with 4-point cards and swinging with 5-point wards all over the place.
Nathan's got a pretty impressive turn here, though. It's kind of ninja cosplay, playing a Nimblism into a fry, into a lightning press, all different ways of giving 3 with go again, and following up with Scorpio for that very impressive swing of 2 points of life at the end, 1 physical and 1 arcane damage, leaving behind an arsenal to hopefully threaten the board state just established. This nourishing glow coming in for a life gained and 5 damage.
Yeah, Nourishing Glow is a very innocuous card. You see it, the effect is only gain 1 life, but when paired with a weapon that can turn it into a deadly weapon that swings for 5, that 1 point life gain is not irrelevant as well, since the Rune Blade has access to arcane damage that they can chip away at your life total whenever you don't want to pitch into it. Nathan is once again asked the question, will you block this 5? And the answer, time and again, is no. Even though he still has Grasp of the Arknight in the arm piece as a 2-block battle worn, he chooses to not utilize it yet, probably saving it for something that has an on-hit.
Opening up this turn with a Flittering Charge, which can gain go again if another instant is played on the chain link, suggesting that there is an instant of some sort in Nathan's hand, but it could be anything from a lightning press to an electrostatic discharge, so it's hard to know how to block this most effectively, and perhaps even a Sigil of Solace or a Sigil of Voltaris to confer that go again as well. Nova offering the... Oh, we have a spicy use from the arsenal of a Razor Reflex to confer go again instead of an instant card. But what might be particularly damning here is the defense reaction combined with the ward 1 on the board means we are effectively blocking 6, preventing 1. This on hit from the Razor Reflex is not going to go through, and Nathan's turn might be stopped in its tracks. But there's a second copy off the top. There's a second Razor Reflex.
Without the second copy of Razor Reflex or an instant, his turn would have ended right then and there, proving again that Ward 1 is nothing to scoff at. But we see here Path of the Same Ends, pinging 1 on attack, and if the 1 ping is not prevented, the card will get go again, and that means they can swing with the Scorpio right after, but if they prevent the 1, that's a whole card you're spending to save on that 1 arcane. Let's see what Nova-chan decides to do. But Razor Reflex has been seeing a lot of play in Andrew Cook's list and Nathan Crawford's list. I'm excited to get that new Razor Reflex art card that's coming out as a promo sometime soon.
Oh, the spice has been flowing for sure. I believe that promo is available at Callings at the moment and at Nationals event coming up very shortly. So you can get access to your own special copies of Razor Reflex very soon. But until then, we get to see the good old 2-card 9 of Phantasmaclasm on display, immediately looking at the hand and giving the chance to rip it to pieces. There's a notable inclusion on the right there for Nathan's hand, which is about to be sunk, which is that Sigil of Suffering, an incredibly powerful, effectively 0 for 5 defense reaction, but Nova is having none of that today, instead choosing to leave all of the aggressive output in the hand, but saying, we are going to trade life total down very fast. And my friend, when you are blocking, you are losing in this matchup. At least from the Aurora side.
Yeah, we see time and again, all these Zyggy lists are different version of it. Both Aphrodite and the Refractor are loving this Phantasmaclasm, its ability to be just such an overrate attack while having disruption and knowing your opponent's hand, at least 3 out of the 4 cards out of it, is very, very important. And again, we're only utilizing armors for blocks. We're keeping all the cards. The life totals are going down really, really fast. But Zyggy has 5 cards available to them on defense if the arsenal is a defense reaction. But Nathan has something to say about it with a Rabble flipping up a Gunner Flash for 4. So it's coming in for a total of 7 go again. Which is
aggressive
half
start.
of Zyggy's life total.
Indeed, a particularly aggressive start to the turn, and with the go again conferred here, it means that we are going to see some follow-up from the remaining cards in hand. Notably, because Ravenous Rabble is not a lightning attack, Scorpio is not available to swing with just yet. But if we can find some lightning go again in the hand, then Scorpio will also be on the table as a chain ender for this turn.
Warmonger's Diplomacy being on blocking duty, and again, path of the same ends. It ends the same either way. Whether you pitch or I pitch, I will have go again, and Scorpio will be available to swing since this is a lightning runeblade card, which satisfies the condition of having a lightning attack on the combat chain for Scorpio. Being threatened the 1 arcane is very interesting proposition, especially when your tunic is not yet on 3. You have to spend an entire card to prevent this arcane damage.
It's an exceptionally powerful card, which if you haven't yet had the chance to play with, get to play with this card in Omens Limited, in Silver Age, or in Classic Constructed. It is such a brutalizer of an attack.
Yeah,
In
this
this
limited
case,
as well. Oh,
Nova is choosing
Life
to take the
is
full
going
4
down.
damage, and then the remaining 2 from the Scorpio swing, leaving 3 cards in hand. This could be an extremely aggressive finish from our Illusionist deck, and it's started up with a Scarf for a Star. I am loving the use of extenders in this Zyggy deck. It is so powerful to be able to both trade life total down with your opponent and to generate this value-based game plan of leaving permanents on the board. This time we are following up with 5 damage from a Stardust Spike being developed and swung courtesy of Reality Refractor. At this point, there are no alternatives. Nathan is forced to block with at least 1 card in order to survive this 5 physical damage coming in. The armor alone will not save him.
Yeah, Nathan finally being unable to say no blocks after the entire game, just sending 4 cards back and forth. He's finally forced to block with 1 card plus the equipment, probably the arm piece. But there is a possibility that where he blocks with 2 cards as well. However, Aurora is not known for her blocking card capabilities. A lot of the go again cards and lightning cards only block for 2. So if the card he wants to block with is only a block 2, he needs to pair it with another card or face lethal damage. But Zyggy coming in time and again with this 3 card 10s, 3 card 11s. These rates are scary, which means that Zyggy really might be coming to a nationals near you.
Indeed, if you have not had a chance to try out this Refractor decklist, it is capable of some really powerful plays when combined with these turn extenders and the use of embodiments of lightning. I think this is a vision for the hero that is really leveraging both the lightning side with access to go again and embodiments of lightning, and the illusionist side courtesy of these powerful board states. And in this case, Nathan is forced to give up one of those paths of same ends because it blocks for 2 alongside the grasp and the tunic, going down to just a single point of life. But with 4 cards left to try and threaten Nova Chan's remaining 4 points of life and the 2 ward on the board, we're opening up with a Gone in the Flash without go again. But those lightning greaves are waiting there to be activated. Is it possible that there's a fake out here and there are lightning presses sitting in the hand? Or will we see the greaves activated, pitching a card to do so to try and go wide with this Gone in the Flash?
Very interesting though, instead of blocking with the Gone in a Flash, which is a 3 block, and decide to block with a Path of the Same Ends, which is a 2 block. Here we see the Phantasmal Footsteps being committed on block duty, the leg piece being committed right here, Lightning Grease. However, they need to pitch an entire card. Thankfully, the instant is in discharge.
Indeed, a fantastic combination with our Gone in the Flash, opting to pitch away the Sigil of Solace, recognizing it is not the time to be healing, it is the time to threaten as much damage as humanly possible for Aurora. So pitching away the life gain value in favor of the offensive value, threatening to take both of Nova's cards from hand. But in this case, it's a card from hand plus a defense reaction from Arsenal. Nathan is going to need a follow-up. It's a Sigil of Voltaris, a very important follow-up here. bouncing the Gone on the Flash back to hand, threatening to be swung again and taking Nova's last card with it, and potentially the Stardust Spike that is on the board as well. And in this case, the Sigil of Altaris also sits on the board, threatening 1 arcane damage at the start of Nathan's next turn. The Stardust Spike is removed from the board. Nathan is stripped of armor, stripped of all of the kind of sip capabilities of his deck except for Scorpio. And in this case, it's a 1-card follow-up. It's a Scar for 4, but that is 4 whole damage, probably demanding multiple cards from Nathan's hand, unless he has one of those Sigils of Suffering in hand to try and follow up here.
Yeah, unless he has Sigil of Suffering, this is a 2-card block, 1 card trading for 2 cards. Very favorable trade for Nova Chan right here. We see 1 card so far committed to blocks, and there it
But
is.
even
Since he
with the
has
Sigil of
Tunic.
Suffering, because he had Tunic up, he has to actually give another card anyway. The Sigil of Altaris threatens 1 arcane damage here, but it's just a measly 1 arcane. Nova is capable of pitching into the arcane barrier of his gloves and getting value out of the pitch floating, courtesy of those all-important phantasmal footsteps. But before we can get there, it's 4 with Go Again from Scar for a Scar.
These Scar for Scars have been really carrying their weight left and right. Players being able to adjust their life totals by taking just enough damage to be slightly under. Being a 4 Go Again, however, sadly it is matched with a defense reaction from Nova Chan's side, a Sink Below, which is able to sink a card if he has instants or ward 1s in his hand to trade for another card. However, there's a Lightning Press.
It's a Lightning Press over the top. Nova needs to find more defensive capabilities, and he doesn't have it.
GG.
Nathan jukes it out with one of the classic plays from the Lightning Rune Blade, threatening a breakpoint that demands multiple cards and just not respecting the Lightning Press at that critical moment costs Nova the game. What a nail biter of a match. An absolutely incredible finish to that game.
Yeah, you always, with Lightning Heroes, it's here's 4 Go Again, how will you block? Here's 4 Go Again, how will you block? If you overblock, there's another 4 after. If you don't overblock, there's a press waiting. It's very interesting to see how these decks, both very high value plays coming together, the Arc Lightning E-Strike turns, the Aura Scar for Scar Reality Refractor turns. It's very exciting to see. It's a nail biter of a match. Let's hear from the players themselves.
Players, congratulations on an absolutely fantastic game. That was incredible to watch. An absolute nail-biter finish. Finishing out with the classic Lightning Rune Blade juke of Lightning Press when there's no defense reaction left in the hand. Nathan, you cheesed the hell out of that game, brother, and it was an incredible finish. Talk to me about Aurora, because I think the way that you built this deck list is the way in which, honestly, a lot of us would expect to see a Lightning Rune Blade built early on. But I'm curious as to kind of what took us there. Did you have any chance to try out some of the new kind of quick strike mechanics and the new cards from Aurora? And if so, how did you feel about them?
So originally I started kind of with everybody, and that's with the 2 yellow quick strike cards that really just give a lot of value. The prolific, I think, that gives you the ponder, and then the lightning embodiment as well. And what I just kept finding is that blue cards just feel bad in the deck. You just really just don't want to see them unless they do something that's really proactive. And I know a lot of people are probably questioning the crappy blue that I resolved that ended up probably winning me the game due to Gone in a Flash, and that is the sigil, and that's literally in there too. In the only thing that I could find that was exciting, because definitely a 2-card razor is not exciting, but what I could find is a little mini Gone in the Flash combo like Oscilio, right, just without the finisher. So I baked in absolutely every single decent, not even good, just decent instant card that I could actually get my hands on, to the point to where I stared at yellow Sigil of Solace for like a solid 15 minutes. And like just to line up one good Gone in a Flash turn, right? That's all I needed during the game to like actually generate any amount of like decent value. Other than that, just play any other aggro deck.
Just play any other aggro deck. Well, I'll give credit where it's due. Aurora still has some tricks up her sleeve. We saw some really, really powerful Arc Lightning turns coming out in this game. And of course, finishing off with the all-powerful Lightning Press for lethal. Some incredible, and I think the Sigil of Voltaris was a really, really strong pickup for the deck, and that, yeah, there's a lot of instant synergies to pick apart in these heroes. Gone in the Flash, not least, being perhaps one of the most powerful synergies in that way in combination with Lightning Greaves. And recognizing that I can kind of kill two birds with one stone, put a blue into my deck, and it still deals 2 damage and is an instant for my Flittering Charge and Gone in the Flash turns, really, really paid off in that game. So some fantastic deck building at play there. Meanwhile, from the Ziggy side of things, Nova, the sheer value that this deck was outputting was absurd. We were seeing consistent 3-card 11s, 3-card 12s on display. And I think my favorite thing about the deck list is just how proactive it could be as well. The fact that you were leaning on cards like Scar for a Scar and Spears of Surreality to have access to Go Again and Lightning Strike. What kind of took you to this balance of access to Go Again alongside the kind of ward board state that lets you use Reality Refractor?
Yeah. So after my first building on Zyggy, I was thinking of the Oscilios, but I think I've played a lot. I think the Oscilio is not too value on right now. So I look at the before and finding, yeah, I can do some like Enigma thing, like in the before manifestation, special manifestation, and then refactor. Then I was thinking of the Zyggy, and I was just like build like the Enigma. I play a lot of value card. It's like most of the card is just value to block and attack with, and then trying to play some back attack like the Fenderson Cosmo or CNC E-Strike. But right now, because we are the Lightning hero, so the Ember of Lightning is pretty good. If that generated combo with the E-Strike or the come out Conquer.
Absolutely. We saw the combination of both kind of the lightning talent giving some Go Again and the real use of the illusionist board state courtesy of Reality Refractor and those various ward auras. Seeing 2 blues come out to make like a 2-card 10, 2-card or 3-card 10, 3-card 11 kind of play was absolutely ridiculous. So if you're looking for just a pure value-oriented deck list, then this I was about to say Enigma deck, this Ziggy deck, which is doing an Enigma cosplay, might be for you.
This matchup will be a staple, I think, going forward because Aurora is doing old Aurora cosplay and Ziggy is doing an Enigma cosplay. And that's a matchup we've seen time and again at the top tables of Pro Tours and Callings before, and maybe the meta will shake up in such a way that these 2 decks will come out on top sometime soon, maybe after Victor LLs and some meta shifts, or maybe an expansion card slot print. But let's see. Thank you to the players. Congratulations on the match. That was very, very fun to watch. All 3 matches have been bangers so far. It's been very, very exciting to watch and cast. But that's it for me and Shamir casting today. We will be handing over the casting torch over to Ian and Pete Budensek. But before that, we'll be covering the current state of
Let's take a quick review of our standings. Yeah. Indeed, with Blue Pitch taking a strong start to open up the show match, with Wen Law taking it down, Andrew Cook Ziggy on Fang, and David Yao having an absolute nail-biter finish of the game with some arcane damage against Will Bradshaw's Betsy. But the card guys are making a return. We've seen Nathan Crawford also come out with a clutch finish courtesy of Lightning Press against Nova Chan's Ziggy deck. And you've got 2 more games to follow up. Josh Lau piloting a particularly spicy version of Dorinthea. She might not have gotten much support for Dawnblades in this set, but there's a little bit off the side coming in for some axes. So you can look forward to that being played against Kaiser Wong's Oscilio 2, Brocilio at work. And then finally, to close out the match, Damien Riggins' Brocilio against Pudding Tom's take on Aurora, another lightning versus lightning matchup, new hero versus new hero. But those games will be cast for you by the wonderful Ian Holland and Peter Bedencic, who will be joining you shortly. This is Adia and I signing off for now. Hope it's been a wonderful show match so far, folks, and I'm looking forward to seeing the conclusion of this one. Until then, have a good one.
Until then. Bye.
And here we are, Ian Holland and Peter Budensic to cover the rest of the show matches. Have you been enjoying the show so far, Peter?
Yeah, it's been a stellar show so far. That last game was so close, so incredible to watch. It's such back and forth, barely getting it back with that lightning press. Hopefully we get some spicy games like that and ahead. Specifically, I'm very excited for both Brocilios. You know, they let me do the two Oscilios at the end, which I'm quite excited about.
Naturally, we have to give the Wizard Enjoyer the Wizard Games. And we also have, now, where what is known, myself and Peter first met at Pro Tour Heavy Hitters, which is where Josh had his breakout performance with this Dorinthea deck. How do you feel the Dory deck stacks up against an arcane heavy build of something like Brocilio, maybe some occasional physical attacks thrown in?
Yeah, so Dory obviously being in the warrior class and having a whole bunch of natural equipment that block for 2 and 1 is going to be pretty interesting to see if Brocilio can kind of divert the amount of physical attacks that he does and get into more of the arcane heavy. As we look at at some of the list here for Josh specifically, we will see that this Dorinthea list is going to be the Hatchets variation here with highlighting the new card a bit off the side here. I think I'm really excited about this specifically because it doesn't just say that the next attack specifically is going to have the on hit. It's going to do the entire turn. So even if he hits multiple times, it will have, the opponent will have to discard on all of them. That's a key card that I want to look at it. And specifically, he has AB2, which I expect him to bring both of them in this matchup to kind of hedge between if Oscilio is more of the arcane heavy focused, or maybe has some attacks mixed in as well.
Yeah, and that bit off the side, like you mentioned, Hatchet's Story is probably one of the best pure numbers decks that we've ever seen in Flesh and Blood. Just consistent, the same thing every turn. We're always working our opponent's life total down while defending really well. But now we have on hits.
Yeah, on hits are super important, especially in this matchup to where I don't really expect.
It's going to want to keep cards.
Oh, sorry. You lagged out a little bit there for me. But yeah, Oscilio definitely wants to keep a lot of cards in this matchup. And the on hits actually going to matter so intensely for that.
Yeah, I'd be very curious now. Can we let's see if we can have a look at Kaiser's deck list. Now, bringing back an old favorite of mine, because myself and Pete also fab boomers. Remember the price of our Arcanite skull caps? Maybe is Kaiser bringing it back?
Yeah, I think the skull cap might be coming back a little bit for that, but I don't expect him to bring it in this specific matchup. I think the new hat, the third eye of the Sphinx is going to be what he probably brings to this matchup specifically, because I think the ponder tokens to be able to outvalue this Dory deck is going to be super key here.
Yeah, we see a lot of defense here. We see overcrowdeds because we know Hatchet Story loves some tokens. We know Brocilio loves some tokens. Cloud cover, a lot of prevention, hoping to dodge something like a Jagged Edge from Josh Lau.
Yeah, Keeley, he had 2 Jagged Edges in his sideboard if we looked back at the Dory list, but the Oscilio list has a lot of prevention. The cloud covers, and has a lot of D reacts, more than you would expect. There's about 9 D reacts on this list, so pretty excited to see you on that attack reaction kind of defense reaction kind of scale here to where we can get into this game, get grindy up in here.
Yeah, I think it would be very safe to say both heroes here are looking to play a very mid-rangey value game plan, push their numbers. No one is trying to blow the other one out with like a massive turn, but if it lines up, they'll both be happy to do that. The only way, however, to figure out who's going to take it down, are the card guys going to equalize? Is Josh going to continue his winning ways at Hatchet Story? Or is Kaiser going to lock out the win for Team Blue Pitch this round? The only way to find out is if we get over and have a look at the gameplay and see where we land.
Yeah, super excited for this game specifically. Really big fan of what anybody else basically has been cooking on this new Oscilio. And as we see, actually he doesn't have the third eye. He's actually playing Skullcap in this matchup. Super interested to see see a Skullcap game in the big 2026. I haven't seen Skullcap in so many years. I'm so excited to see some value block 2, block 1 again. But as we can see here,
Oof.
double pitch Fiendals into a Comet Storm on turn 0.
That's not ideal. That's not where you want to be. But hey, listen, we're already turning our own Skullcap off. Obviously, Kaiser valuing that defense value much higher than you're valuing the draw a card off Ponder tokens. But, 3 damage on turn 0 is nothing to sneeze at. Josh gets to cycle a couple cards out of his hand. See where we go from here for Hatchet Story. I know this deck has a lot of fans, especially locally, so it'd be good to see. Here we have lead with speed into Sharpened Senses. Both of our hatchets going to have go again this turn. Pitch of a blue. Sending in, this is hatchet for 3, 4, 5, 6, go again.
Yeah, super good start
Not bad.
for Josh here. Incredible first turn. Basically gets to go 6 into 3 at the very minimum. But as we were highlighting beforehand, we did see that Josh did pitch one of those jagged edges to the bottom of the deck. So we have one less of those anti-prevention cards here. But I mean, being able to leak 3 damage on turn 0, always what Wizard wants to do to get that extra value, being able to be tricky with it. And now
And
starting
here
our
we
engine
have-
here.
Here we have a nice block for Oscilio. I know this threatens a triple hit, which is the reason to play hatchets in Dory. And I believe I've heard Josh himself say, if you land the triple hit 3+ times in a game, you win that game 9 times out of 10. So it does not look like the first hatchet's going to be hitting again, but we are following up with 4 plus 1 because we're following the hatchet swing with another one and plus 1 from the Sharpened Senses. Josh deciding once the arsenal, passing to Brocilio, 34, a little bit of damage snuck through, and another Comet Storm.
Yeah, another Comet Storm here. Pretty exciting here. Just getting that arcane damage back through. Trying to tax a card from Josh here as well. To note for the viewers at home, these little like circle yellow things, their lightning flow, it does not exist on TTS. Oh, that's incredible here from Josh here. The double take it on the chin to not have, the triple agility.
Yeah.
They say if you have 3 go-agains, surely that adds you another action point, right?
Yeah. This hatchet has go again, go again, go again, and is looking to take a bit off the side of Brocilio's hand. Now, we know Kaiser has quite a good defensive suite in this deck, so it's not like with regular Oscilio where you're just going to push damage through. They're going to have a hand that doesn't really block, but we have here the Cloud Cover, first of many prevention. And again, like you said, this on hit persists for the turn. So what's going through your head as a Wizard player here? You're obviously, I imagine, considering, well, best be blocking 3.
Yeah, first and foremost, definitely going in that angle here. It's a little bit of an annoyance here because you do have to block both of them. Both of them always on because he has go again. So hopefully we have another 2-card play, but this Brocilio list has a lot of these 2-card plays here. We've gone through multiple Comet Storms, but we got Fiendals, we have Easter eggs, we have Burn Birds, etc. We do have a Lightning Flow token here that's on the bottom here, so this overcrowded is going to be out block your 3. Got the 2 cards out, and Josh getting this Arsenal here. Hopefully, this Brocilio, try not to be biased here. Obviously, I want this Brocilio to do well here to showcase a new hero, but we got another 2-card play, which is going to be this Turn to Mindfire. Specifically, this card is something that I was had my eye on at the beginning of this preview season. Tapping your hero to make a ponder is quite good, and Wizard finally getting a true on hit by itself instead of having to have a surge here as well. But Josh is taking the entire 5 here.
Wow. No wonder he's taking the entire 5. We have Sharpened Senses. Hatchets are going to have Go Again. Spill Blood. Hatchets are going to have Dominate and +2. So we're going to come in here for 5 Dominate Go Again. On hit, we just get to we get the Dory effect, which is the big on hit in this deck. So Kaiser defending here with Nebula Duality and that Arcanite Skullcap. Only has 1 block value right now, though. Oh, maybe not. Maybe we're reconsidering realizing the life totals.
Yeah, as you said, this is going to be the power turn for Josh specifically. This is one of those. Getting the triple swing on this turn is going to be quite important if there's not going to be any prevention left on this turn here. Making another. We're not making another flow just
but we are
yet.
Gaining that resource from the Plutonic Star Plate, so we need to consider what is that resource going to be used for. Is Kaiser going to threaten some damage, or... And here we have the second hatchet follow-up for 6, again with Dominate. Again, blocking 3 with this Nebula Duality. And using that resource from the Plutonic Star Plate. The first time you play a lightning card on your opponent's turn, you generate a resource, defending 7 on 6.
Yeah, got out of that turn a little scot-free here from by Kaiser here. Getting out of it a little bit better than I thought he would have. That initial double dominate here, getting prevented by that Oasis with that 1 floating. That's why the reason he did not make another lightning flow there when kept the 1 floating to the end for that Oasis. Getting out of that turn ahead in the turn cycle and being able to throw Arcane back with an Arsenal back in the turn cycle is winning here for that Brocilio player in this game.
And here we have Hatchet. Give it Go Again with Blade Runner. Pump the next Hatchet, but oh, there we go. Discards the mental block for prevention. If you prevent the damage, you get a ponder. Do you know what happens when you don't prevent that damage?
You
don't get that
should
ponder.
not get it. And basically makes it so it doesn't even block 2 on this chain here. Gets additional +3 here. So taking the full 5 damage here and having the Go Again.
And we're paying into Grains of Bloodspill for that Vigor token. Have the resource floating. We won't have an extra Go Again, so let's see. Josh probably going to close the chain here and Braveforge Bracers just to send max damage with this hatchet. No, I imagine he's hoping to push the damage and threaten the on-hit of another Vigor token because he doesn't have an arsenal going into this turn.
Yeah, double Vigor token being threatened here is quite good to have multiple Vigors going into this. You could be able to, any hit and run from Josh's deck is going to be able to allow him to double swing next turn as well.
That Jagged Edge, just like we talked about, maybe the first one is somewhere pretty much at the top of second cycle, but this second one here doing the work exactly as Josh needed.
Here we go. We got that.
Waiting Spirit for 7.
Yeah, I got the 5. Vandal's Spirit. Josh immediately seeing all that Arcane here. so thankful just to be able to block with that chess piece and that arms here. Doesn't know when he'll get another chance to getting that value throughout the game. But Kaiser with that extra game life here, still looking pretty good. But we have another dominated turn here from Josh. Right, it looks like Josh is again allowing himself to get both these vigor tokens here to get into the next turn to have another good powerful turn, just like this one with the double dominate here. We got an E strike here, most likely just for 7. Josh not having any more equipment here just to freely block this like he did on that Fiendo's Fighting Spirit before. Coming in for the full 7 here. Pretty back and forth game so far. Josh a little bit in the lead here, being able to get that bracer's block value and that extra card to be able to block for 4, taking 3 on this turn. As you draw up, looks like we're going a little solo here with Ian. Unfortunately lagging out real quick, but we're just turning this into another mask going to the video here. We got this hidden run here coming in. I got 2 go again on this hatchet here, blocking for 3 on this. Let's see what Josh has. Has the Blade Flurry here. This is going to be a good value turn here. Has the go again on this first one. Is going to make another vigor token. Is going to give it +1. Plus has the Blade Flurry here. This is coming in for 6 whole damage and throwing another vigor. Just constantly getting multiple of these vigor tokens back to back to back, leaking all this damage here. Ahead by at least by 6 here with the 2 on the next turn, getting that diamond amulet to the bottom to be able to block on this turn a little bit. Let's see what the Brocilio can do in the end here. Just gonna come in with a little arcane and responding with a Kindle, one of my favorite cards of all time back into the Kano days here, giving that additional plus amp, the amp 1 here, and drawing a card, being able to also use the new Volzar here to give it additional +1. So the base 4 coming in, getting +2 here, going all the way up to 6. That's for what? 0 cost arcane spell, 6 damage coming through, plus having the card in hand and arsenal here. Josh taking it into a commanding 21-21 game, just trying to max pressure this Brocilio into the ground here. We got the first go again with Trottle on here and a 2 go again off the first hatchet, threatening that triple swing most likely on this turn, if I had to imagine. Brocilio thinking about his options here, still has the Storm Shatters alive and well. That arsenal has been there for a couple turns here. Most of these cards from Brocilio can be arsenaled, pretty much what the deck is made for here. Maybe has a big spell in his arsenal, just waiting for the right time to be able to deploy it here. That Storm Shatters is elusive. You can always think about him having, 7, 8 less life than what he says in 21-21 game. It's a lot closer than we think, because Josh most likely is going to be at around 16 here because of that Storm Shatters. We got a big think here. Eventually blocking 3 here, denying the first swing. Josh has no reaction to go over the top, but does have that hidden run. That hidden run is going to give an additional +1. So this hatchet will come in for 4 with go again. 2 cards left in hand for Josh. See how much more damage we can present here. This does have go again here. could be an additional attack coming in. We have an Oasis. Pitch with a Wheel of Arcana, not exactly where we want to be. Definitely wanted that card to be on offense and not defense here. We already know that one Jagged Edge was pitched to the bottom and one was played earlier. But we do have a route to get on top of this. Doing the old-fashioned way, not bouncing anything. Just going to give +3 here. On this, going upwards to 7. So it's taking 3 here, and it gets to swing another hatchet here, coming in for 3. Taking all this damage, going down to 15, but does have the 2 floating to give that core reaction. This is going to be one of those new spells from the newest set. It's going to do 4 arcane damage at the start of the turn with that core reaction. We have that third Take It on the chin here. It's going to be amazing for Josh here, only taking half of that amount of damage and having that agility token for the next turn. Starts off with a good power turn. We're 4 life ahead here, and we're having the go again. Plus, we have that new card a bit off the side, being able to present a double on hit this turn, exactly where Josh wants to be.
And I am back. Sorry about that. My laptop just cannot handle it this hour of the night. The excitement coming in this feature match. I'm coming back. I left and the life totals were a lot higher than this. What is going on, Pete? What have I missed?
Josh kind of just
feels-
running him down.
It's like ooh, and here we have an in the swing on this hatchet, but thankfully for Kaiser has a response of Oasis Respite.
Yeah, looking to prevent 4 out of this 6 here. Doesn't want to take even more damage, but as it looks right now, Josh will even get the Vigor token at the end here as well. Still chugging along in the amount of damage that we're doing here. Does need to present lethal in a couple of turns here. As we always know, that Storm Shudders is very elusive here to ending the game out of nowhere. And the card that was in our arsenal all this time was just a blue Emeritus Scolding. Very interesting that we're playing it out here. Was trying to keep it as long as we could to maybe Storm Shatters it out, but we did not have another play this turn unless we played it. So just a measly 2 arcane here. This is not exactly where we really want to be.
Not when your opponent's at 19, certainly not where you want to be threatening. I think Josh can very comfortably take that, follow up with a trot along to give this hatchet go again, come in for 2, just right back to work. Let's start threatening the damage. And these hatchet swings, 2 into 3 may look small, but they do add up, and this deck is relentless. And here we have the threat of a triple swing now with this hit and run, hatchet for 5 on hit. We get to attack again.
Yep, Brocilio here with that flittering force field here. It's going to be blocking 3 right now unless we play an instant card. I assume we have another one. We're just going to actually just come in with the shock here. It's going to be, one instant already went to the graveyard because of the chain breaking before that hit and run. So we do get to Volzar amp this as well. So it's going to come in for 2 arcane here, and we're going to be able to block for 4. Just a little tangible value here, piece by piece by this Brocilio player.
Yeah, slowly, just both decks really just presenting consistent. Kaiser says, yeah, send me the bill. I'm keeping this card. It's going in my arsenal. Josh, arsenal, ready to go. Looks like that is, in fact, all we're seeing from Kaiser is just the move to arsenal. 12 life, still plenty of room for a wizard to kill you. The wizard's not dead, in my experience, when they have Storm Striders until they're at 0. Oh no, though. This is the
Oh.
combo. This is the thing everyone's been worried about. This is Spillblood Dominate. +2 on all my hatchets. And a bit off the side. We are threatening Dominate. You can only block with 1 card from hand. And if I hit you, you have to discard.
Yeah, this is an incredible power turn from Josh here. This is going to be a hard turn to block out, and even just probably going to end up with us not even having a hand here from the Brocilio player here for Dominate to start off. We don't even have any equipment left. He brought in that Skullcat to be able to block with the equipment. Doesn't have any more block with it as well, or to use that 2 and 1 value from it. See if we have any defense reactions or prevention left at this time. Minimum 4 damage coming in here with reactions left in hand.
And here's the Blade Runner for go again. And as well as anything, Pete, you know, when a warrior is starting to, when you're getting to 12, your life total never feels quite comfy when your warrior opponent is holding 2 or 3 cards in hand. Is it reactions? Is it go again? What could it be?
Yep, this one most likely was going to always be that go again piece here. We got one of the old classics, Absorb and Aether. If you don't know what this does, this is going to be able to block for 4. This is the red one. So cost for 1 and is going to block for 4. And then it's going to amp the next spell that we play this turn by 2. So if we do see one of those shocks again, like we did in a previous turn, it will come in for 3 because it gets the additional +2 on it. But
one thing to remind anyone who does not know this Absorb and Aether card, make your way down to your local Silver Age games. You'll see any Blaze player worth their salt playing this card. And here we have Cancel a Flow Tide to make a Ponder. And we haven't had an instant go to the graveyard yet. So
well,
that
it's
is
getting discarded by Oscilio here, so it's going to see itself hit the graveyard. So you can be able to Volzar this as well, and it has that Starfall keyword here, which is going to be able for it to come in for 1, but it's going to get the additional +2 and +1 off Volzar. We got that Static Shock from our arsenal to be able to at least block 3 here, and we have another defense reaction from hand. But this one specifically, we do have that instant clause here, so it's going to be able to block for 4 plus that 3 from the Static Shelter to block for 7 and come in for 4 here. 3 card 11 here off of trying to get my hand discarded and coming in for, you know, a 3 card 11. That's incredible here.
pretty good. Josh, we thought had it all, but it was in fact Kaiser had everything that he could possibly need to get through this turn and not have a bit taken off the side, as it were. Takes 1 damage and gets to send 3 back Josh's way.
Yep, let's not throw that hatchet into our graveyard. We'll need that for the rest of the game, Josh. But yeah, that would have been an incredible turn. This is the power that a Brocilio can have on defense. That so much value out of this turn with his engine, and just goes to his turn, is able to have that Ponder here to Arsenal. If we hit any card, that turn cycle was definitely won by the Brocilio player here. Josh also sat at 12. He actually decided to take an additional 1 to keep this Vigor token here to have a little bit better of this turn.
Yeah, very important to note. When it comes to the ponders from Brocilio, I believe, as you said in a pre-match discussion with me, you want all the cards in your deck to be worth arsenaling. So, you know, we have seen a very defensive toolkit from Kaiser. We've seen some of the big attacks, all fine arsenal targets.
Yeah, would love to have any of that prevention or any of those defensive reactions be able to be put into our arsenal at this time. Let's see we can react here. Looks like we're taking a look at our graveyard, trying to figure out what else we have left, what we can play to. You know, it looks a little bit dire here from 11 to 12, but you got to understand that Storm Shatters is there and waiting at this time. Just a little bit more damage can be chipped in, and finishing the game out with that Storm Shatters. I'm looking for it the next couple of turns here.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, the more wizard you play against, the more you understand their sort of kill thresholds in the game. With Icelander, it was like 9 or 10. With Kano, it was whatever your life total was, it didn't matter. We don't quite know where Brocilio lands on that scale yet, but I imagine it's somewhere around the 7 or 8 range, depending on burn bears and things like that.
Yeah, it seems like if we look at this list real quick, we got the burn pairs here. We got some echo flashes. Don't know if those came in either, but have a couple of shocks. So we might be able to pull, maybe around 5 to 8 damage here, depending here. So just got to do a little bit more chip damage here, but really thinking on this original block. We're going to go with a no block here to start off. We got that Blade Runner coming in as well.
And the discard of the mental block to prevent this first hatchet will prevent 2, but there is a Blade Flurry. So this is going to connect unless Kaiser has more prevention, which, listen, he's had it all game. Why should he stop now?
Yep, being able to prevent all that damage here on that first link. Josh coming in for the second link. This is going to be a huge attack with that Blade Runner, and it's going to be 8 damage here.
Yep, Blade Flurry, Blade Runner, 1 big hatchet of mind. Now, obviously, we're going to commit some cards to blocks. Are we in a position where we can commit the hand? Oh, no. In fact, we're going for a triple swing here. We are going to shift the tide of battle. The attack is greater than its base, so we're going to make the agility on hit. And this gets go again. So looks like we have the ponder there for the mental block. We have 1 prevention floating from this mental block on the 8. But let's see what else Kaiser has, or are we just preventing 1 and taking 7?
Very interesting here. It looks like we are sacking one of these flows here to activate our hero ability. We're just discard this Comet Storm Shock, getting the second ponder here. Looks like we're taking that full 7. We don't have another block in hand. We had that Volzar, but we have to absorb an Aether from our arsenal. One of those premier defense reactions in this deck to be able to use off of that ponder from that last turn, that great turn cycle here, to be able to block 4 plus that 1 prevention here. So there's only going to be taking 3, only 3 more from Josh, but we still have that shock coming in here, able to get the +2 and the +1 here. So that's going to be coming in for a whopping 4 damage here, putting Josh to 8.
It's not a bad spot to be in now if you're Kaiser. 8 is not a big number against a wizard. Obviously, 5, not a great number against a warrior, but we do get 2 ponders, so we get a choice of arsenal here.
Yeah, choice of arsenal is key here. Looks like a pretty immediate decision here as well.
Yeah. Considered it for a second, then has drawn up. Josh now knows he is going to have to play pretty careful and see how much he can force Kaiser to commit on blocks. Pitch of a Blade Runner. We've got go again from the agility, so we're just coming in for 2, holding 3 cards. Both of these are decks that I would not feel comfortable looking at where they're holding 3 or 4 cards in their hand.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite spots to be in as a wizard here. This is an incredible point of time. We actually get to have this perfect block for here for 3, not taking any damage, and then we're breaking the chain here. Specifically, what happened earlier in this game that we saw was that, this instance, the isnt gets a block and then go to the graveyard after the chain is broken, so that Volzar is turned on right now. This will give us an additional +1 if we have any arcane damage to do. Josh having 2 cards left in hand, though. This is very mysterious. Exactly 5 on the life total of 5 here. Have to at least block this with 1 card and hope there's not
this is
another
one
reaction.
of those. This is one of those moments. I've been at so many tournaments, so many callings, a couple of pro tours. The wizard opponent starts tapping the table. I know he's counting. I know Kaiser's thinking, can I get him? With 2 cards in hand, you got to imagine at least one of those is a blue. And that means that you need to be able to deal at least 10 points of damage here.
Yeah, 10 points of damage is going to be an incredible amount to do here, even though we do have Stormshiders staring down this 5. Hopefully, we did have a double ponder, so we get to have the choice of both of them. Arsenal has to be something. So it's just a 2 block coming in here. So we got 2 on 5. Oh, that Dory
Oh, and we are
specialization here.
singing. The steel blade is singing, reprise is triggered, which means, Josh, you get to search your deck for a reaction. What reaction will you get here? We're looking to obviously push the damage. This does not have go again. Maybe we give it go again. Glint the Quicksilver could be a strong one here.
Yeah, this doesn't have go again here, but something that I'm thinking about here is Jagged Edge. Specifically, if we put them on not having defensive reaction specifically, put them on having prevention, that Jagged Edge could keep the door closed here, trying to end this game here from Josh having 2 floating and a choice of any reaction in his deck right now.
I do see Josh looking through Kaiser's graveyard, probably thinking exactly what you're thinking. How much prevention have I seen? How much more do I need to work through? Is Jagged Edge the way to go? Do we get Glint the Quicksilver, give it go again, and risk getting blown out by a defense reaction for 4? Or do we just push for lethal here and tell Kaiser, you better have it? And Josh, it seems, agrees with you, Pete. Send it. Show me what you got.
Show me the defense reaction, or it is over right here. And did have the defense reaction off of the ponder from the previous turn. So he's going to stay at least alive right here where we have the Oscilio activation. Is going to make a ponder here. We're going to remake that lightning flow off this Constella. We have 2 damage coming in. Only 1 up to prevent, so he's going to take 1 here from Josh, and then we're going to be able to block for 4 on the defense reaction because that instant has been played, this chain link. So we're blocking 6 on the 9 here, so taking 3.
And Josh electing to take the 2 here, again valuing the Vigor token and the cards in hand that get. Oh, and here we have another Constella for another lightning flow and another ping of arcane damage. All of a sudden, Josh Lau has to think about going to 5. Not an enviable position against the wizard, especially when we're only pushing a 2.3 points of damage over here. 2 is not 0, not when your opponent has Storm Striders and gets to play an extra turn.
Yeah, this is an interesting decision here by Josh, if he's going to take this extra 1 here or he's going to leave it for that Vigor token with the chess piece. Is going to decide to take it and values that resource on the next turn more than the damage on this turn. I think this is pretty sound here. Something that I think was always good at playing against the Kano is making them have it on the very last turn of the game instead of trying to prevent everything beforehand. He still needs to put a significant amount of damage on the board. That Vigor is going to help him. He has that agility from earlier in the turn as well that we got set up. And we only got 1 ponder. This ponder has to be good no matter what to try to get him out of this game. Still got that Storm Shatters, exactly where we want to be. We got the AB2 here. So relative 7 life here.
But at the same time, Josh Lau is able to present lethal here without committing a single card to the pitch zone or to the combat chain. So we have 2 go again coming at Kaiser, who's got to be in the tank doing that wizard math. Knows he needs to present 7 damage in order to 7 damage in one shot or across several small bursts to get there against Josh.
Yeah, always a scary
Definitely
position.
not.
Facing down 4 cards in hand by the warrior player here. Never in an enviable position to be when you're at 2 with 4 cards in your opponent's hand.
No, and is there any better known warrior player really than Josh Lau right now? The man, I've watched him play. I don't think anyone can get a read on him, especially not over Tabletop Simulator. There's no chance.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hope that he has a read on something in his hand. At least know that the go again is already checked off the box for Josh here. So if we have multiple of those reactions, we only have the one singing steel blade here, which is going to be that Dory attack reaction. So let's see how much more direct damage that we can do on top of this too.
I'm very, very intrigued to see the decision making. I wonder what's going through Kaiser's head right now. It does look like some amount of counting is being done anyway. Just seeing what is the exact sequence of cards we need here. Is it possible to threaten the damage? Is it worth it to threaten the damage? That's the other thing. Wizard players have to go. Is it worth it to go for it? Because if I don't get there, do I survive the turn? But it looks like we are in fact going for it here. Oh, what's this? We're gaining a life.
Yeah, we're
Dropping
gaining a life.
a core reaction.
Yeah, this core reaction isn't going to pop on this turn, but it looks like he had triple non-block in his hand to begin this. Maybe we looked at some of the frustration instead of the clicking. Honestly, is going to be taking the 2 straight out. We don't have another reaction here. We're just going straight to the next hatchet.
Yeah, Josh thinking again. We've got 1 card in hand, 1 card in arsenal. Probably. Do we close the combat chain? Pay for the Brave Forge bracers, come in for 4. Is probably where we're at right now. Oh, and thinking on grains. Yeah, I mean, with 1 card in hand, 3 resources floating, 1 card in arsenal, I don't know. Without any Starfall or instance going to the graveyard, I don't know that Nova can threaten enough, or Kaiser can threaten enough damage here to present lethal.
Yeah, it would seem unlikely. We haven't seen any burn bears. Even if he brought it in, would not be enough here.
No.
We do have a blue pitch here, just coming in for the 3, forcing him to at least have a block card in either that arsenal or in hand. Still threatening all these attack reactions. Even go again on this would be very good because that first hatchet hit. We do have we do have a defense reaction here, so be able to block for 4 on this, so we're staying maybe alive.
That first hatchet has connected though, and that can swing again because of Dorinthea's text. So if Josh has the go again, which he does, and we're just going to follow up here with this hatchet coming in for should be 5, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, don't think there.
Oh,
there's a
have
Kindle
a
here, but I don't
Kindle.
really know if there's going to be a card that he can draw to either get out of this or come in. Has 2 resources floating because of that core reaction in the heart of Findle in the pitch. Thinking about it,
Yeah.
what else can you do here?
Could be meteoric impact is the thing I can think of. Josh going for the overkill.
Does
Nope.
not have anything here. Josh with the victory at the end of the game, just having too many non-blocks. At the end, there comes at a terrible time for the Brocilio, the double core reaction, and the Heart of Fiendel to end it off. Kindle could not get it done at the end either.
These are the risks you run when you play that many non-blocks, that many instants. You trade that level of power and burst potential for fragility. Well done, Josh Lau, evening things up for the card guys. tough loss there in what was a really tight race for Kaiser Wong.
Yeah, Josh showing the power of that new Dorinthea with the new card coming in. The threatening discard a card every turn is so impactful for the Dorinthea deck going forward.
And it looks like we are being joined by the participants. Maybe we can get some of their insights into the ideas going into the deck. I know Josh has been a massive advocate for any warrior and will always be an advocate for any warrior, but is very happy, I'm sure, to be back on Hatchet's Story, a deck he has quite a bit of success with, let's say.
Yeah, it's been 2 years since I've really gotten to play Hatchet Dory in a competitive environment. So yeah, I really enjoy it.
How does it feel like coming home?
Oh yeah, it's like riding a bicycle. Like nothing has really changed. Like you got sharpened senses and you got a bit off the side, but the core deck's still the same. It's like make an agility, threaten a triple swing. You know, play your blade flurries, play your blade runners, run enough blues so you don't, draw a bad hand, convert with grains. Yeah, it's pretty standard stuff. Yeah, it's a solid deck, I think.
I'd say so. It's one of the most, like I said in the game earlier, one of the most consistent number decks in Flesh and Blood. And I think more interesting now, though, Pete, you probably have a few questions here for Kaiser on the Brocilio. I could see you vibrating in your chair, ready to talk some wizard.
Yes,
Yeah.
Kaiser. I wanted to talk about this Brocilio list so bad here. I see that you had a couple of interesting things in here. You didn't go the full arcane route that I think we've seen a lot of the Brocilio go. You had, Easter egg and some Fiendals. Can you talk about, your mindset of building this and, how far you wanted to go into the, the arcane versus the physical aspect?
Because I used to play Icelander before, so every time I saw a wizard, I would try to build something like a Bullander. But actually, I think this worked out better than I thought. Because for like this match, we are fighting against a Hatchet Story, which is very famous about. She's good in the numbers, but actually, we can do something like it because we have a lot of great defense reactions, like the a lot of 0 for 4, and you can gain resource from your opponent turn. If you play like one 0 for 4 defense reactions, which is the lightning one, and you can pay you have the resources, you can pay for a Oasis, which is 2 cards for 9. If you have the life gain, so you still have great numbers, and that's why also I want to maximize the numbers I have, so I put in some like E-Strike, Fighting Spirit, something like that to maximize my deck numbers. Actually, I have a chance to win like this game. Even we are fighting a very good number deck. I only need to draw any of the arcane source. I think I can win the game there. So it's proof that the deck have the power to be a very good number deck. So yeah, that's my build process.
Honestly, I think one of the most impressive things that I saw, Josh set up the turn, the one everyone is scared of in this Hatchet Story deck coming forward. We got Spill Blood and we got a bit off the side. And Kaiser said, "What if I blocked everything?" What about that?
How
did that feel, Josh?
I've never had a wizard block this well against my warrior cards. I was like, wait, you have this much defense reactions and prevention, and your cards block 3? I'm like, oh my goodness, this is. I've never had that much issues hitting a wizard.
Yeah, I remember that turn. I also deal 4 arcane to him, so it's a very good numbers. Yeah.
Yep.
And I do not have a like Sang Below or Faithful Send in the deck yet. Like the classic reactions we want, but just for the lightning one and the instant, they really did the job already.
Yeah, it was a very, very interesting deck. I mentioned to Kaiser after the game, like, sometimes he's attacking on his turn, sometimes he's attacking on my turn, and I never really knew what to expect. I'm like, is he gonna block this? Like, I made a very risky play with the Singing Steelblade on the final turn. I'm like, there's a chance he doesn't give me reprise here, and I'm gonna look like a silly goose holding this. I'm like, I think I'm behind. I have to go for it. Hope to get reprise.
Yeah,
And then
that
it
was
took me a
we were
while. Yeah. To figure
I
out
was
what to
also
shoot her for. Yeah.
I was also
we
wondering,
were
like, if you were going to get the Jagged Edge there, because we didn't know what was in the arsenal specifically, because it was off a Ponder, and it's like,
Mhm.
show me the D-React in arsenal, or,
Yeah.
get hit. If
Yeah.
it's prevention, you die through the Jagged Edge. I think
Yep.
that reaction was kind of crazy there.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, should I get Glint and try to hit him 3 times? But that gets blown out by a D-React in Arsenal. Do I get a normal attack react to make a bigger token with the floating? Or do I go for Jagged Edge? I guess I had 2 floating. So you either get Jagged Edge or Glint there. But I would have gotten
this
Route, but I only have 1 in my deck. So
this is the exact conversation that myself and Pete were having when we were
yeah.
watching it. I was like, and
Yep.
then I was watching.
Mhm.
We saw you hovering over Kaiser's graveyard,
Yep. I had
going
to check
like,
everything.
if
Yeah,
I
he's
get blown
still
out here,
he had 1 Oasis, 1 Mental Block, and 1 of the Lightning D reacts. I'm like, well, 2/3 chance this Jagged Edge hits it. If he has the exact card off the Ponder, okay, the game continues. I might get Storm Strider killed, but okay, we just have to take the chance, go for it.
I'm just impressed you remembered exactly that. As soon as the game ends, my brain vacates. Kaiser, have you anything else you'd like to add about this Brocilio deck? What you think about it?
Mm, I think the new chess pieces are really good, and it create a lot of play room to you. I think all of us, this is in a very early stage right now. The set just released, and I think we have many time to still develop the deck. And I think Brocilio is the best within the 3 right now. So I think everyone should keep an eye on him.
Yep.
Cool.
I agree.
Uh,
Well, thank you for coming on and talking about the game afterwards. But let's look at that the rest of the show match here. We've seen 4 games so far. Blue Pitch taking the first 2, not looking too good, but then the TheCardGuyz coming back in game 3 and 4 to force that game 5 to see who wins this as well, to see who takes it home on the 3-2. For our last game, we got a great one here. We got Damien versus Pudding here. We got another Brocilio and another Aurora here. I'm intently excited to see what Pudding has for this Aurora list specifically. You always know that aggro banger is going to come out in the show match from him.
Yeah, not just that. One thing I've noticed since Damien has joined the TheCardGuyz, he has been cooking when it comes to deck lists. Between Fatigue Pleiades, that Icelander deck he brought to Yokohama, Damien always has something interesting afoot. And this Brocilio is no different. This one is much more arcane focused with some very unique choices. The 3 future sites, the arc ramps, at Waning Moon. Pete,
Yep.
Waning Moon, like, are we seeing a return to sort of tempo wizard gaming with this deck?
Yeah, this was originally the thought I went to when I first saw Brocilio. Just going back to the OG, just pure arcane list. Something specifically that he's looking for is right now it's kind of like a toss up, right? Like when you see Brocilio, you're like, is he full arcane? Does he have some amount of attacks or not? This is making it so you strand every piece of equipment that isn't arcane barrier on the table, making it unable to block for your opponent is really a good place to be. Also, we have more extenders than the other Brocilio list. Doesn't have as much defense, but it has a lot more offense. We got that snapback coming through here as well. So instead of looking at maybe like 5, 6 damage coming on our opponent's turn with that with the Storm Shutters, looking at upwards of 9, maybe even 12, depending on how many snapbacks we have. That's quite scary in this game.
Yeah, we even see Damien has come prepared to make lightning flows using Star World warnings, and I believe I see a cheeky anti-fatigue plan with those two Save the Thoughts. Probably not coming in this matchup, but you never know what Pudding's plan is. But speaking of Pudding, let's go have a look at this Aurora deck, see what he has chefed up for us. And let me tell you, that's a lot of equipment.
That is a lot of equipment, but something that I also want to say, that's a lot of red cards on the other side. We even have two different rows of red cards here.
All the maybe cards are in there, unfortunately. Sorry.
I see, I see.
Okay.
But one going back to what you said though about that arcane damage, we don't have lightning greaves in this one. We do have Dyadic Carapace, and we do have that brand new Gauntlet of Sword and Sorcery, which is a card I'm a big fan of. Anyone who knows me knows I love me some Rune Blades, especially Elemental or Lightning Rune Blades. And this card seems super sweet. Just able to convert cards into damage, into direct damage. Really, really strong. And this is looking a lot like a 0-for-4, just powerful, aggressive deck. We see Flow State Embodiments, Fries, Gone in a Flash, all the kind of things that we have already seen from Nathan Crawford. But I think we only see 6 blues in this entire deck list, and 6 yellows. Arc Lightning, Prophetic Quickstep, Current Funnel, Sigil of Voltaris. Obviously, we have extras in the sideboard at the minute in Ominous Excavation of Voltaris, the new Fable, which has been repeatedly highlighted by the writers over on fabtcg.com in the 0 to 80 articles as a little Gone in a Flash loop you can perform in this deck. I would imagine if you're Pudding, your goal here is to get this game over with as quickly as possible.
Yeah, 100%. Not a lot of blues in this deck, just all offense here. But honestly, let's stop talking about it. Let's get into this game already. That's what we want to see. Let's see this game between some of the craziest deck builders in the game of all time. Basically, we got Damien and Pudding here. So let's see with this dice roll as well.
It looks like Damien's going to get the choice anyway. And is Pudding ready to go all gas, no brakes? Or is Damien going to say, well, what if I blew you up instead?
Yep, 100%. We do see that there's going to be that full arcane AB3 here for Pudding here. You got that new arm piece that has just natural AB1 on it, plus the old faithful Dyadic Carapace for the Rune Blades here. Looks like Damien is thinking on his first turn. Did he get the choice here? Decides to go first. This is exactly where we want to start as the full arcane list, being able to chip in on turn 0 here, at least for 5. Only has AB3, so he's going to take 2 no matter what.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure this is exactly what we saw the last game.
It is. It is exactly the Common Storm for 5 on turn 0, 2 games in a row.
Follow up with a Waning Moon, Pudding gets to cover it up. And a thing to note here, I imagine it looks like, oh, never mind. Pudding gets to start the game higher than he did. But thing to note, new piece of equipment on display we haven't seen yet, that Third Eye of the Sphinx. So tells me Damien is looking to make quite a number of Ponder tokens.
Yep, exactly. Getting a lot of Ponder tokens here. Scratch all the amount of work that Damien did on turn 0. Pudding had to do him one better here with that Sigil of Solace, getting all the way to 41. Turn selection be damned here. Let's see what Pudding can start with here. He did have to cycle a decent amount of cards out of that turn 0, so his hand texture is entirely new here, but does always have that Snapdragon Scalers, no matter what, to get that on-demand go again.
And I know we talked about the last game where we were kind of trying to feel out what the kill threshold of this Oscilio deck is. Oh, sure, putting just sometimes a man has it all, has the fable and everything, gets his lightning flow immediately. But we were talking about what the kill threshold of this Oscilio deck could potentially be. Damien's is probably significantly higher between the combination of Storm Striders and Waning Moon, with no other shenanigans, is a 9.
Yeah, I'll
And
give
here
it.
we have Gone in a Flash.
You need to show
One
off a
Arcane.
new equipment here with the activation, you know? Arcane here
Yeah,
first,
that
and then going into it.
yes, 1 Arcane, tap your hero. Sorry, 2 resources, tap your hero and the Gauntlet. 1 Arcane, if it deals damage, it gets +1. Immediately committing the Snapdragon Scalers, playing the Electrostatic Discharge to bounce that Gun and Flash, and sending it in for 7. And Damien is committing 5 on block. So some damage leaks through. Pudding has an Arsenal. Damien ready to pass, I imagine, with a card in Arsenal. Just happy to minimize the amount of damage that threatened on that turn.
Yeah, good start here by being able to chip in 2 points of damage that previous turn, but also getting set up a lightning flow. So in the next blue cards that he does draw, he can make that embodiment of lightning, but doesn't even need it to start off this turn. Draws the fry off the top for 3 go again coming in.
Yeah. Now, we saw what happens in a Wizard versus Warrior matchup. It's quite close, Pete. It's a game you've played a lot of. You know that those matchups tend to lean slightly more Wizard focused, especially when it gets down to pure numbers, because your numbers kind of cheat and have evasion. How do you feel in this situation with more of a Rublade, a much more aggressive deck coming in at you?
This is always difficult when the Room Blade is coming in, and it looks like it's just coming in for full force here. We had just like I said about that Aurora being able to make that embodiment anytime now that there's a flow, immediately cashes in this turn. Had a second Gone in a Flash of the game in Arsenal, and another Electrostatic Discharge to be able to go 4 into 7 here, doing an incredible amount of damage. Looks like Damien was stranded with a decent amount of instants in his hand. This is going to be the new one that makes multiple lightning flow. We're not turning on Voltaris because we don't have one. We have just a 5 in the arsenal here.
We do have Starfall for this meteoric impact, though, and I was very curious why Damien was taking the damage. I was expecting either fireworks or no blocks. There was only one reason or the other, and it appears to be 5 damage, gain 3. So a 3-card 8. It's not too bad. Pudding happy enough to take the damage, and we're just going to ship it. Here comes Fry. Pudding back on his Lightning Ninja, as he used to call Aurora, original version anyway.
Yeah, specifically with this full arcane version, it does usually prefer a little bit of a slower game, trying to chip in turn after turn after turn. But here we are on this turn. One of my favorite cards out of the new set is going to be the Cosmic Suture, getting discarded by Oscilio, one of the limited staples here. Discards it, sees itself, gets that Starfall, is going to be prevent the next 4, but it's keenly not the next 4 damage that you would take this turn. It's for the entire turn, so it's going to soak up this 3 and still have the 1 prevention for the rest of the turn.
Yeah, absolutely. This card, for anyone who ends up playing some Omens Limited, is an absolute house in Oscilio. So I can see why Damien would want to bring it out here and throw it and try it out in a Classic Constructed. And here we have Electrostatic Discharge again into Enlightened Strike for 10. So mode chosen +2, and that Third Eye of the Sphinx is cracked to gain a card from the ponder token, gain the card up front. We have 1 prevention floating. And moving 2 reactions, this static shelter. Blocking 3, so blocking 4 on the 6. Or 4 on the... and taking the 6 points, I believe.
Yeah, huge damage coming in by putting with that Easter egg at the end of the chain here. And it looks like we just have a lot of another, it's a lot more non-blocks in Damien's hand. It really drew that side of the deck here. Just having a sigil to gain 3 life to get it back. And then we got that sigil of Temporis, I want to say, which is going to be able to flip that card off the top of his library at the start of his turn to be able to play it if it is a non-attack action here.
Sigil of Temporal Mastery, I believe. A card that has not seen a lot of play. That's it. Has not seen a lot of play yet, but will allow Brocilio to cosplay as Kano for a little bit at the start of the next turn. But we have another Oscilio activation, pitching a snapback, discarding a future sight.
Yeah, if you don't know what this does, I wouldn't blame
Sigil of
you.
Fates. Yeah, this is a compendium card that people are trying out right now in Blaze. It creates 3 Sigil of Fate tokens. Now that, with the Sigil of Temporal Manipulation, is quite powerful. We get to opt 1 3 times to start our next turn.
A key we did see on this was because we activated the Oscilio to discard it, we made that ponder token, immediately was able to crack that ponder token with the 3rd eye, be able to draw an extra card on this turn. Looks like we picked up a defensive reaction here to be able to block that first attack by putting here, and we just have a snatch for 4 here. Coming in and taking it all.
And it is just 4. I'm very surprised. Putting left stranded here with cards in hand. Never a place you want to be. Not just an IP1, but an IP2. And that Arsenal has been kind of chilling there for a hot minute.
Oh, we get favorite interactions with these Sigil of Fates coming in. We've got to be able to block with that arms. And there's 3 Sigil of Fates popping, so we get to opt 3 times. But the arms gets to amp 1 for every sigil that leaves. So I'm going to get at least 4 amp on this turn here, which is an incredible amount of value off of our arms, basically turning our equipment piece into 5 value here. And we get to opt 3, so surely we're going to hit a spell off the top, and it's going to be Aether Wildfire. Unfortunately, this isn't on our opponent's turn order. We do a lot, but we have the +4 here. And we got the red Aether Flare. We only have AB3 here. This is going to come in for a whopping 7 arcane here. And it's going to give +X for the amount of damage it's going to do. This is one of my favorite cards of all time here. Getting 4 damage through into the Aether Wildfire for 8 on our own turn, presenting so much arcane damage here.
I am sitting here getting war flashbacks. Everyone has had their armory terrorized by a Kano and had to deal with Aether Wildfire. Thankfully, it only has one effect on your turn, which is deal damage. But keeping it going to 26, keeping a 3-card hand plus Arsenal, and leading with an Arc Lightning. So let's see how Damien responds. I imagine you either are stopping the arcane or you're just taking all of the arcane. And here we have a pitch of a Nebula Duality preventing the 1. So
yeah, something
Damien
about
finding the best way to convert his hand here.
Yeah, something about Wizard is has a lot of random AB equipment here. You know, got the AB2 out of the Storm Shards, the AB1 out of the chest piece, and we even have Spell Void on that helmet, remind you. But we have a Sync Blow coming from Arsenal here, being able to block that Gone in a Flash coming in. But we have double Arc Lightning here. Let's see what the follow-up here is for putting. We have one of the new cards from the set. This one is going to do 1 arcane and then 3. You can pay to give this go again here, if you would like.
So this is a card that I fell in love with at the world premiere. Path to the same ends. Just you never give your opponent the right choice. You always hope that, like, either way, like, do you commit the card? I guess I commit the card. Doesn't always play as well with Arc Lightning because you're ready to pitch anyway, but we get a card block on that Scorpio Comet Tail, which is a 1/1 if it hits. It's not quite Rosetta Thorn. It's about a half at best.
Yeah, looked like Damien again with some a little bit of awkward hands, just full blocks for 4 cards from the hand in Arsenal's that last card. Had the defense reaction from Arsenal, so being able to block with 4 cards here, having a good start as well with the Ravenous Rebel, but unfortunately hitting one of the few cost cards in his deck, that yellow Arc Lightning on top. So it's only coming for 3 go again here.
Gotta say, you know, Pudding, I expect better from you. That's a skill issue right there. You're supposed to hit the red cards on top. That's free advice. That's one thing I learned from all my years playing aggressive Rune Blades. Don't hit the blues. Don't hit the yellows. Hit the reds. But Damien going all the way down to 11 here.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's what I was just about to touch on. We're looking like we have another powerful on our own turn. This is going to be Will of Arcana pitch on our own turn. This is going to amp 1. So this is going to come in for 4. Saying, do you have a blue? Putting with another blue in the most important spots of this game here. Has that AB3 here to only take 1 from the Aether player here. Looking like we have probably a snapback or a second strike in our hand to be able to use that here. Because Winning Moon would not get the plus. It only comes in for 2. But we still have that 1 from the player floating.
I would like to withdraw any statements I made about Pudding Tam. He is clearly a superior Flesh and Blood player when he can just have the blues exactly when he needs them. That's really what you need versus the Wizard. But here we have Pitch of Voltaris to send in this Comet Storm. So this is going to be coming in for... we're shocking?
Yeah, we did not have that action point here, so it's just going to be the shock.
Makes sense. Chose not to commit Striders if that's really your kill shot, but we're facing down an Arc Lightning turn at 11. Going to have to commit a number of cards to stay in this game, and I think my assessment early on was correct. Pudding Tam is here, all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, we saw that Arc Lightning revealed off the Ravenous Rebel from the previous turn, so we knew that he had at least that go against starter on this turn, followed up by a Lightning Surge. Unfortunate for Damien, both times he could have, a pretty big pop-off turn, getting snubbed by the blue cards coming in from that Aurora deck. We have another Lightning Surge coming from the Arsenal, so that always has go again. This turn is going wild here from Pudding. Another Ravenous Rabble coming in for another 4 and 1. And we even have that last weapon swing to end the chain. Damien just bleeding all over the table right now. Down so much, doesn't even have a play on his turn, just has to pass and hope that Pudding can't put together another go wide turn.
Now this is a card in your deck full of no blocks that you don't want to see. Burn Up, Shock. Touch from this. Oh no, Pudding! No! 2 damage from this Ravenous Rabble, revealing the blue. Obviously extra blues boarded in versus a Wizard. But 2... I'm pretty sure Damien's fairly comfortable with that one.
Yeah, it looks like he can at least block this one. It's only coming in for 2, but staring down, we know that there's going to be a blue on top, so it's not like we can do much on our own turn. But Pudding's not even done here. We got another 1 and 3 here. We're able to even press on top of it, taking 3 here no matter what.
And we're going to AB2 from the Burn Up Shock to go to 1. Oh, the thing everyone forgets, you can in fact AB a Burn Up Shock. It's just never a good feeling.
No, Damien just continuing with the amount of cards that he can't do. And drew up the cards a little too fast, but we have that Arcane Ping on his own turn, cosplaying as was a Wizard to finish this game, pinging him for the final one
Yeah.
on his own turn.
Again, we get some Silver Age tricks. Anyone who's played against Briar in Silver Age, that's exactly what we do. That's how we win the game. Oh, you have no cards in hand and you're at 1? Here's a sigil.
Wow, saying you think we're gonna get reverse swept by the card guys? Just kidding. I'm gonna put blue pitch on top like I always do. Putting with the win in the game 5 here. Incredible game there.
Not just a win, that was a dominant performance there from Pudding Tam. I was really impressed by just the damage that Aurora deck was able to string together very, very consistently, and it really made good use of Arc Lightning.
It looks like we are being joined by the players here. Pudding, how do you feel that game went? Obviously, the winner here, even with a spectacular finish of the end of the ping on your opponent's turn. How are you liking this new Aurora?
So I test quite a lot for the new Aurora, and I think the new Aurora are pretty good compared to before the old one, and I do have some spicy tech in the aggro matchup. You can check it in the sideboard. I got the quick strike and also the lightning equipment that you can gain 1 resource. So you can do it on your arc lightning turn. You can play your arc lightning, you crack your chest for 1 arcing damage, and then you play that quick step. And then you can have a go again 1 cost with a quick strike, so you can create a ponder token, which make her pretty good in the aggro matchup. And I think for the more longer matchup, Aurora now still have the tools to make you play a longer game. And also, we are Windblade. We have one of the best equipment in the game. So yeah, I feel Aurora is pretty good. The only problem I think she had is into some very long fatigue matchup. She might have a small problem into that. And I feel pretty good, yeah.
And Damien, commiserations on the loss there. You really went for a full bore wizard version of Brocilio. What kind of led you down this line of thinking with the Aether Wildfires, things like that?
Well, I feel like a lot of people have a lot of armor these days, and if you're throwing physical attacks at them, you have to think that your first physical attack is just going to eat armor most of the time, since you're mostly playing like a wizard. So you essentially get time walked on your first physical attack. So I feel like playing all arcane, even though sometimes it not being the best rate, is still the right way to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've said you've been pretty impressive cooking up some interesting deck lists for the card guys. So I'm looking forward to seeing where you go next with this. And Pudding, how do you feel about this Gauntlet of Sword and Sorcery? I note you chose not to run Lightning Greaves in this version of Aurora. Is this your preferred source of AB1?
Yeah, just because I really like the Snapdragon for multiple reasons, mainly for Gone in the Flash. I just think that because in my list I run 6 blue most of the time, and if I run AB, I can pack more blue into that, and it's just a good AB piece that you can utilize your blue and you didn't need to AB it, and also I think Snapdragon is still the spirit of Aurora.
WTR staple, still one of the best pieces of equipment ever printed in the game of Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, time and time again, the Snapdragon Scalers always comes back into lists. Always glad to see it return, but that's gonna be it for us. Let's look back at what happened today in all of our games here. Game 1, we had Zyggy versus Fang here, with Fang taking that victory. And to Betsy, one of honestly my favorite characters of all time. I was so glad that Betsy got more support in this set. Or aren't you glad that Betsy got a little bit of support too?
I mean, were you a log truther? Were you a pile driver believer waiting for it patiently for it to come out? Yes, of course. I was excited to see Betsy. I know she has literal dozens of fans out there.
Dozens of fans indeed. All right. And Oscilio won, taking that victory, even though a lot of those cards in the original Vozar was taken away. Then we have Nathan Crawford taking that victory for the TheCardGuyz. Wasn't going to get completely swept in this one. Took it with Aurora. Josh Lau, the Indomitable, cannot lose in the show matches. Took that game 4 on Dory against the first Brocilio. And the second Brocilio unfortunately falls to another Aurora here. Aurora 2-0 and Brocilio 0-2. Unfortunate for the Wizard on this one.
I'm pretty happy about it. I love me a Rune Blade, so it's always good to see. Pudding and Nathan have been big inspirations for a lot of my deck building as well. So with that, it looks like Team Blue Pitch are going to take down the Omens of the Third Age show match, but I'm sure the TheCardGuyz will be back for more for set 20 when that comes out later this year.
100%.
I think that is everything from us here at the TheCardGuyz for commentary for this show match. It's been a pleasure to have been hosted here, to be allowed to watch these matches up close, live, and person.
Yeah, always a pleasure watching these show matches every time, you know. And as a Blue Pitch fan myself, I'm glad they took down the dub here in the team event show match as well. But unless Josh wants to say anything to close this out, that's going to be it from us.
Nope. Just a big shout out to you two for commenting, as well as Adya and Shamir. Everybody in chat, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back for another show match whenever set 20 comes out. These are always really, really good fun. Big shout out to Team Blue Pitch. You know, we've been doing this for 4 or 5 years at this point. It's you know, we made a post on Twitter, death, taxes, and the TheCardGuyz Blue League show match. These are the only truths in life. All right, we're out of here. Thanks so much. Take care.